here, and we are ready. We are ready to continue with the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles, the second game, the second part of the second game. We're in it. We're doing it. We're gonna fucking, get back in there and do whatever needs to be done, I guess. So, yeah. Let's fucking go. It's been 4 days. What the hell? It feels like yesterday. Alright. Let's go. The Memoirs.
It was a ghastly tale of a winter's night. One of an invisible killer and a crime perpetrated on the pavement along Briar Road.
Why are these games all so loud for me recently?
Death's door, the mystery of just who had stabbed the young lady from behind had been resolved.
My volume is always all over the place, and I can never place, like,
no sooner had my friend saved that Eastern exchange student from his harrowing plight, then in the dim, flickering shadows of gaslight, did a second bizarre
Gaslight?
crime rend
Gatekeep?
the stillness
Girl boss?
of that very night.
Shut up, Perry. Shut the fuck up.
I dare say most can still recall the sensational headlines of the day. Haunted apartment of death, the condemned criminal's curse, the dread demon of coal gas. Yet, though the great detective had at once discerned the truth upon his arrival at the scene, it only proved to be the overture that announced the rising of the curtain on a most tragic play.
Alright. Eyes are open. I'm ready. Let's go. My name is Ryunosuke Naruhodo. I'm a fledgling lawyer, just starting out on my journey. 6 months ago, I arrived as a visiting student of law, having made the long voyage across the sea from the Empire of Japan to here, London, England. And on the way, in quite extraordinary circumstances, I made the acquaintance of a world-famous detective. Currently, I reside in the attic of the detective's own lodgings, from where I run my legal consultancy of sorts. I successfully defended a number of clients in Britain's highest court, the Old Bailey. But since a particularly grueling and unforgettable legal battle 4 months ago now, I haven't returned to the courtroom. In truth, I lost my right to return. But that epic trial was just one small part of an epic tale. A tale which was now about to awaken from slumber, thanks to a letter that arrived this morning from my homeland. Damn, we hungry? What a delicious smell wafting up the stairs. Must be nearly time for breakfast. Better go down to Mr. Sholmes' suite and say good morning to the great detective and his flatmate. But wait, I didn't do my daily investigation of the shovel! Ah, Bruno! Good! Haha, Ryunosuke aided and abetted a criminal. Yeah, that sure did happen, but we're coping. Anyway, last time, it's hard to explain. We're doing it, I think, Rubbish, do you think we're doing a Trials and Tribulations thing? Because, like it said, doesn't this take place before last time's trial? Just check out last time's trial. I don't need to explain shit to people who don't come. I was just about to call up to you. The bacon's ready. Oh, good morning, Iris. Smells delicious, as usual. Before we eat, though, I have some news. I had a surprise this morning. Oh, hey. Shh. Not another word, Mr. Naruhodo. This could be just the abstruse thing for my pre-breakfast stagnation-repelling mental stimulation, my dear fellow. Morning to you too, Mr. Sholmes. Ah, yes. I see. So that's it. Ugh. I think because Susato's trial happened like 9 months after she left, and it sounds like this happened 4 months after Gina's trial. So yeah. Oh, that's a timeline, all right. The truth is as clear to me as day. My faculties of observation have revealed it again. Yeah, this is the second case Oseki got involved in before he left Japan, right? So it's in between case 4 and 5 of the first game. God, that's weird. That is a weird placement to put that in the second game. But fair enough, I guess. Pop off Great Ace Attorney. I mean, I'm glad it's all in one package, at least, both games. So it's not, like, too disorienting, but still. Huh. What are you talking about? You, Mr. Naruhodo, you have this very morning been met with a surprise. Well, is that not the case? Really, my dear fellow, it barely warrants explanation. Firstly, your hair is particularly unkempt, because if it was Susato would be here. I mean, I guess, yeah, wait, hold on. Whoa, my head's spinning! Firstly, your hair is particularly unkempt, somewhat reminiscent of a bird's nest. Secondly, you have neglected to fasten the third button of your jacket. Clearly, when considering together, these two facts point to you having been flustered this morning. Can I talk now? But of course, though I don't look for admiration, you understand. My hair always looks like this. It's been this way since I first met you. Oh, it has. And the button was ripped off last night, if you remember. By you. Hurley pulled your button off? Ah yes, I recall the incident now. It was after supper, was it not? As the evening advanced, I picked up my violin and began to play the wailing notes of a haunting tune. But then, to my utter dismay, the third string snapped! Why did it have to happen? Why? Little wonder then that in my vexation, I grabbed the first button I saw and ripped it from its proper place. Well, I'd like it back now, please. It's troubling me that I can't fasten my jacket. And it's troubling me that you expect me to know where it is. Somewhere thereabouts on the floor, one presumes. Helpful? What matters at the present time, my dear fellow, is simply whether or not my deduction was unerring. But Hurley, Runo said it when he came in, didn't he? I had a surprise this morning. Yeah, we did. Well, that really is a surprise. Yes, this man is the pride of the British Empire, the famous consulting detective, Mr. Sherlock Sholmes. There can't be a single person in the world who doesn't know his name. All right then, enough of this silly conversation. Come and eat this bacon before it gets cold. And I have a new herbal tea for you to try too. Pride of the British Empire, he sure is. And here we have Iris Wilson, Mr. Sholmes' lodger and companion. A truly exceptional young girl who's the author of a highly successful serialization here in London. Yes, The Adventures of Sherlock Sholmes, as published in Rance magazine. Damn, 10 years old and she already has a publishing gig. God, I wish... Well, actually, no, I don't know the complications that come with all that, so maybe I shouldn't wish anything. So, Mr. Naruhodo, won't you put us out of our misery? What surprised you this fine morning? Well, I received a letter from Japan. Oh, from Susie, you mean? Was it? Really? That's right, and she had some rather startling news, in fact. Ah, intriguing indeed. You must tell us about it over breakfast. Oh yes, what fun! Alright, can I go back and examine the shovel? He got the jeans. Just let me look at it. The office spade. Now Susato-san's gone, the shovelers aren't represented to correct me. Maybe I'll have to do it myself. It's not a spade, Naruhodo-san, it's a shovel. Damn, we really are lonely. Well, I mean, we have Sholmes, but you know. Damn, we really don't have our assistant in our life anymore, huh? All right. Anyway, back to the topic at hand. Oh, Sholmesy! Well, actually, wait, no, first I want to see what Iris is cooking up on the blackboard today. Just daily routines here in the Naruhodo Legal Consultancy / Sholmes' house suite place. Ah, this is where you note down ideas, isn't it, Iris? What's in the melting pot today? The blue carbuncle? Is that a motherfucking buyo beference? Yes, it's from a case of theft that Hurley solved ages ago. The theft of a precious stone. A carbuncle is another name for a garnet, you see, especially if it's cut with a rounded top. Oh, really? And this garnet was blue, was it? Well, that's the thing. They're usually red. No blue garnets have ever been discovered. Oh.
So who knows what the stolen gemstone actually was? That's the real mystery of the case.
A proper Herlock Sholmes conundrum, Damn, keep me posted on that, I guess. Maybe. I don't know. Probably not. Shyamalan. Tell me what you got today. Or I guess I should tell you what I've got. We're reversing roles here a bit. This is a letter that arrived from Japan this morning by International Post.
Oh, how lovely! Look at Susie's beautiful writing. I wish I could read it.
And how is your judicial assistant faring, may I ask? She's very well, thank you. In fact, according to what she's written, she actually appears a lawyer at the Japanese Supreme Court and won a case. Truly a girl boss moment.
Really? Oh, isn't she wonderful?
A cut above your good self, my dear fellow. I've won cases too, you know. Apparently, Mr. Natsume appeared in the trial as a witness. Natsume. No, I don't recall that name. Of course you do. We helped the man twice. You know, in those 2 cases that took place on Briar Road 6 months ago. Well, I only remember the one. The mustache twitchy man with those somewhat feline eyes and the mustache.
He didn't have 2 mustaches, Hurley.
Yes, who could forget those 2 cases? They made a very deep impression on me. Although I must confess the details are a little hazy right now. A very deep impression they made on you then, clearly. So what was this startling news penned by Mr. Sato? Catboy on Catboy Violent, shut up! It's true! But he shouldn't say it. So what was this startling news penned by Mr. Sato? Do you remember the case of the haunted lodgings, Mr. Sholmes? Yes, it's very interesting, you know. I don't feel entirely uncertain that a case of that nature did not occur. He's totally forgotten then. Anyway, in her letter, Mrs. Sato asked that we read over her case notes again and investigate further, though it took place half a year ago? For what purpose? Because of something that Mr. Natsume said to her, apparently. He suggested that the real reason why she was called back to Japan so suddenly might have something to do with that case, with the haunted lodgings. Oh? On Mr. Natsume's return to Japan, Mr. Sato's father questioned him about the case, she says. And something Mr. Natsume said appeared to trouble Professor Mikotoba, prompting him to send that telegram.
Oh, that case! Yeah. It was, very strange, wasn't it?
Yes. Oh, this theme always makes me uneasy.
And I compiled the whole story into a nice, neat manuscript ready for publication, too. Then Hurley here was all funny about it, remember? It was very mean. The story must not be published, you said. Very mysteriously as well.
Really? I said that? Are you sure? Do you perhaps know something about it as well, Mr. Sholmes? About why Mrs. Sato was suddenly told 4 months ago she had to return to Japan? Repatriation?
Is that the word? It's been 4 months now since we waved Susie off at Dover. It was such a shock, wasn't it? The way she just suddenly announced that she had to go back to Japan.
Indeed it was, due to a telegram she received from her homeland, I believe. That's right, telling her to return urgently. Yes, because her father had passed away. No, I just said he was suffering a high fever, the cause of which was unknown. He's not dead! But according to this letter, that news about her father's fever was just a ruse.
A ruse? So Susie's daddy lied to her that she'd make the voyage back home? Why would he do that?
I have to admit, I have absolutely no idea, but she believes it's almost certainly related to the case of the haunted lodgings. Summoning her back to Japan so suddenly, I wonder what Mrs. Sato's father is hiding.
Hurley, do you know what it's all about?
Damn, somebody got dripped quick. Well, who can say? What? But you said... Please, I have engagements, my dear fellow. My calendar is quite surprisingly full today. And a stringent analysis of the matter would be excessive, I feel, even if I were quite at leisure. So, man the fort in my absence, won't you, Iris?
I will, Hurley. Don't worry. See you later.
Alright, bye. Just do the Woo! The Mario 64 teleportation noise as you just leave again. He scuttled off rather quickly there. I think perhaps Professor Makotoba isn't the only person hiding something here. Soseki-san was involved in 2 cases, but only one of them was forbidden from being published. By, of all people, Mr. Sholmes.
Aha! I found them at last!
Iris, are they...
The notes about the case? That's right. Susie and I compiled them together. The case of the haunted lodgings. Do you want to read them, Runo?
Absolutely. Thank you, Iris. I have no idea what secrets could still be hiding in the shadows of this case. But perhaps if I read over the notes again, something might come to light. Also, damn, new track?
That's the spirit.
And so, Iris and I decided to read over the case notes again, together. Everything from what happened to our investigation and that fierce battle in court that followed. Reliving every detail. I just need to find a clue. And I have all the time in the world. Not new? Okay. I guess my memory's just failing me then. It's been a weird week. Because of course, I'm no longer allowed to practice law in the courts of Great Britain. Talk about the case itself. Yeah, fair enough, yeah. It was a bit of a weird setup, yeah, fair enough. It was 6 months ago, a mysterious incident that unfolded on the wintry streets of London. A young woman was found lying on the snowy pavement of Briar Road with a knife in her back. Right, fortunately her life was spared, but she was unconscious for several days following the incident. The fog was thick, and nobody saw the attacker, but by a cruel twist of fate, a visiting Japanese student was walking behind her at the time and was duly arrested. That man was Soseki-san, and the man who effected his arrest was Mr. Sholmes. Believing in our compatriot's innocence, Susato-san and I decided to represent Soseki-san in court. And, after a grueling trial of many twists and turns, we finally managed to prove his innocence. Joyful, joyous, jubilant jubilation! Was the man's reaction after the trial, but his jubilant jubilation was short-lived. We received a telegram from Mr. Sholmes the following morning. The victim of the Briar Road stabbing has regained consciousness. Oh shit? Hurry to Bart's at once. Oh shit, okay. So Susato-san and I summoned the hansom and headed immediately to the hospital. #21st 21st February. St. Bartholomew's Hospital Recovery Ward. Is that a rat in the corner? Hell yeah. There you are at last. Oh, good morning, Mr. Sholmes. I think not. Oh. Okay, I forgot to change her outfit. I was fucking around with some achievements the other night, and I forgot to change her outfit from the DLC outfit. Hold on. Let me fix that real quick, because it's not fair if she has her DLC outfit on, nobody else does. That hit me like a freight train. I'm sorry. Hold on. Holy shit. Oh, that's funny. Let me just, boop, boop. There we go!
Oh!
You're late! What on earth took you so long?
Your telegram only arrived at 5 o'clock, Mr. Sholmes, and it's a 20-minute ride to the hospital.
That's right, and it's 5:30 now. I think we made very good time.
The time is utterly irrelevant. The fact is, I've been waiting for what has felt like an eternity. In point of fact, I myself was awoken at 4 this morning by a telegram boy. And feeling it was somewhat unjust that I alone had been roused at such an hour, I sent one to you.
Well, thanks for that. Anyway, you're here now, so the victim is over there. She's only just regained consciousness. Aw, shit, yeah, there's she. You should introduce yourselves, and I shall observe from here. So that's the lady who was found on the snow-covered pavement with a knife in her back.
Her name is... Ah, yes, here we are. Miss Green.
Well, let me examine the fucking rodent. Rodent alert! Rodent alert!
Ah, a mouse, Mr. Naruhodo! An enormous mouse!
Vermin in a hospital? That doesn't seem the best.
But it looks like a very healthy specimen, doesn't it? It's very plump.
I'm not sure we can say that's down to the excellence of this facility, if that's what you were thinking. Damn, so this rat's just vibing? Is that what it's doing? Okay. Let me look around some more, actually. I'm interested in what we can analyze. This rounded wooden figure isn't the most charming, isn't it? Is it?
I don't think that's a decoration, Mr. Naruhodo. It's an artist's mannequin, I believe, used when practicing sketching the human form in different poses.
Really? It's not exactly what you'd call a typical figure for that purpose, though, is it?
No, I suppose not. I confess I've never seen one quite so full-figured before.
Well, if you want to draw a full-figured person, it's the right tool for the job. Whoop, boop, 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 boop. I saw this portrait over here. I want to see what that's about. Look! Luigi! Look! There's a photograph in this frame here. Oh, heck.
Oh yeah, it's a picture of a young gentleman.
He looks to be about the same age as Miss Green, I would say. Perhaps the young woman's special someone, do you think?
My, Mr. Naruhodo, I didn't know you had a sense for matters of the heart.
Not in the least. I sincerely said the first thing I thought of. Alrighty. Anything else? Let me check out that clipboard. Ah, this looks like the patient's treatment notes. Let me see here. Do not feed. What is this place, a zoo?
You know, I seem to remember seeing an almost identical sign in our local park.
For the pigeons, yes. This is a person. Poor woman. Hope she hasn't read this. No, nothing with this. I saw the easel and the thing and I was like, what's that doing on the floor? But I guess that's not important. Nothing else to do here? No? Okay. Oh wait, I was gonna try and talk to her, but I realized I need to click her first. Right. Good morning. Hello. I'm Ryunosuke Naruhodo from the Empire of Japan.
Oh no, well, was it your knife that... Are you the man who...
No. I'm a lawyer.
And I'm Susato Mikotoba. Pleased to meet you. Oh no, was it your knife then? Are you the one? No, I assure you, I'm Mr. Naruhodo's judicial assistant. We heard that you'd regained consciousness and wanted to come give you our best wishes. Best wishes? For me? Thank you. I'm Olive Green. I'm an artist. Well, no, that's not right, is it? What I mean is, I'm trying to be an artist. Well, what I really mean is I desperately want to be an artist. But the truth is, I don't have any talent. I know I don't.
I've been there.
It's no wonder I was stabbed in the back.
I don't think that's related, actually.
Gosh, this young woman seems to bend over backwards to put herself down.
Seeing as we're here, we should ask about what happened from her perspective, I suppose. To suddenly be struck in the back by a blade as you were walking along the pavement. What a terrible experience you had, Miss Green.
It was so cold that day, and the fog was so thick, I couldn't see a thing. That was 4 days ago now, I think. Is that right?
Bend over backwards. Oh, because of the knife, right? Oh. Jesus.
Yes, that's right. I'm afraid you've been comatose all that time. The case has been solved, hasn't it? While I've been here in the hospital, I mean.
Indeed it has, my dear madam. Spectacularly by none other than I, Herlock Sholmes.
Mr. Sholmes, as you well know, it was Mr. Naruhodo's hard-working court that solved the case.
It's bending over frontwards. Well, bending over backwards would have led to probably a worse scenario then. Yeah.
Are you yet to hear what happened, Miss Green? I'm afraid so. A gentleman from the police force is supposed to be coming to fill me in shortly. Oh, I see. Me coming around seems to have made everyone frantically busy. I'm so sorry. I should have never regained consciousness. It was selfish of me.
Girl, if you don't shut the You are totally fine. Don't burden yourself. God.
Oh no, we're so relieved that you're on the mend, Miss Green. Really, we are.
With that kind of attitude, maybe her surname should be Blue, not Green. Well, she's green right now. She's wearing green. So, you're an artist, are you, Miss Green?
Oh, no, I couldn't possibly claim that. I'm a fledgling artist at best. I mean, I'm a student of art, really, at the Thorndike Academy of Fine Arts. Oh my, an Academy of Fine Arts. Great Britain is such a wonderful country.
Tell me, Miss Green, do you live hereabouts?
Oh, no, actually, I don't deserve it, but I have a little flat on Brixton Road.
I see. How very interesting.
Oh no, is it?
Brixton is some 10 stops away on the underground from here, and Thorndike Academy is a mere 3-minute walk from Brixton Town Center. Does that matter, Mr. Sholmes? Perhaps not, but Briar Road is a far less salubrious part of town by comparison, dwelt in by those of inferior means, including the maleficent Mr. Mustache. Inferior means? I suppose Soseki-san does fit the bill. It struck me as somewhat out of the ordinary for a young fine arts student to be walking on such a district. That's all. What's this? She suddenly clammed up.
Mr. Sholmes, you should be ashamed of yourself, prying into a young maiden's private affairs.
Oh, dear me. Do forgive me.
If you don't mind, I'm being discharged shortly, so I need to pack up my things.
Oh, yes, of course. We won't keep you. Thank you so much, Miss Green. Is there a Mr. Narrow-Father here, Mr. Narrow-Father? Narrow-Father now? God. Well, if you're looking for Naruhodo, the lawyer, that's me, but... Ah, Mr. Narrow-Father, good! This is for you. It's a message. It's a message from, Mr. Saucy Nutsmeg. Mr. Natsume? Sent a message to me?
But why would a policeman be delivering a message from Mr. Natsume?
Exactly. What's going on here? What's a Scotland Yard constable doing playing delivery boy at this time of the morning? What are you waiting for? Let me see that. Oh, but that was for us though. Well, this is most unexpected. Is something wrong, Mr. Sholmes? Is something wrong, Mr. Sholmes? He says. Have you not seen this note? No, I haven't, because you just snatched it out of my hands. No, how could I have? This is a message from Sussy. Shut up, Ladoggle, please. It would seem that London's criminals have no intention of letting the great detective rest. A new case calls. A case of murder, no less. We must depart at once. Murder? Call the cab. Time is of the essence. But the trouble is, we've yet to read Mr. Natsume's note. I was thinking we ought to pay him a visit in his lodgings once we did. That will be entirely convenient.
Convenient? What do you mean?
It's all here in the note, my dear fellows. Let me read it! Come on! The murder we must investigate took place at Mr. Mustache's lodgings. Oh, god damn it, you had to go and spoil the note. Thanks! Wait, what?!
I'll hail a firecar at once.
It was only yesterday that Soseki-san was in court. We were dispelling doubts about his innocence. And now, the very next day, there's a murder at the man's own address? He may very well be the unluckiest man alive. It's starting to make sense why he left to go back home. Or so it seemed to us at the time, but we were soon to discover it was worse than we thought. Oh shit! It's that dude from It's that dude from half a second in the fourth case. They thought I would forget, but no.
What on earth? Oh my, the gentleman is deceased without question. He's dead.
Locum student Mr. Naruhodo, Esquire.
Mr. Natsume.
Oh, why? Why is this happening? Why to me? I've only just got out of court yesterday. I was finally home after 2 days of misery. And I'd wake up the next day to this? No early bird to catch a worm like this. Woeful worm without wiggle. I see you in high spirits again this morning, Mr. Mustache. Not the horrible airlock Sholmes. Shoo! Shove off! Show yourself the door! I never invited you!
Mr. Sholmes came here with us. I'm quite sure he'll be able to help you, Mr. Natsume.
Closure dies. Okay, but like with the... Okay, but thinking on the term closure, I think I'm starting to think of my first suspect about who may have committed this murder. The other character who appeared for 1 minute of screen time. They were probably just a witness. We'll see.
I'm entirely at your disposal, Mr. Mustache. What can I do for you?
Luigi!
Yeah, here they are, already. The busybodies. Ah, Inspector Gregson. What a pleasant surprise.
No, clearly he's dead too.
Oh, Lord. Pleasant, is it? Gives me heartburn every time I see your face at a crime scene, Sholmes. Ha! I deduce, Inspector, that your heartburn is a result of your excessive consumption of fried food.
Good morning, Inspector.
How you been?
This is a crime scene. Don't you go touching anything.
Or good morning to you too, Sunshine. Eh?
God, it's always fucking weird when they give me a full body of Natsume because he's just... he's got like the suit. He's got the like suit and then sandals. I know it's like probably a more common thing in Japan, but it just looks weird to me. I'm sorry.
What do we got to investigate around here? Okay.
Well, let's talk to Gregson first. So, Inspector, what was the victim's name? Who was he?
Mr. William Shamsphere. He was a lodger here. As you can probably tell, he was an actor. A bit of a dead loss as it happens. Or just dead. Mr. Shamsphere? It was the landlord, old Garadeb, and the other lodger, Mr. Natsume, who found him. The fella didn't rise at his usual hour, so Garadeb got worried and kicked the door down.
But doesn't Mr. Garadeb have a bad leg?
And yeah, yeah, you're right there. It was that jittery Japanese hunchback over there who actually did the kicking.
Really? So Seki-san?
The victim was pretty hard up, it seems. Even done some time inside for petty crimes. He had no money, no place to go, and no friends. His only acquaintances were the people in this house. A miserable life and a miserable end to it.
So, what exactly is Mr. Natsume still doing here? He's not involved in the investigation, so shouldn't you have sent him away from the crime scene?
Well, I'm not saying it's because the fella looks odd or anything, or that he acts suspicious. But I thought it would be prudent to take a statement from the culprit. I mean, cohabiter.
You nearly said culprit there, didn't you?
Oh dear, Mr. Natsume appears to be under suspicion again.
Certainly seems that way. He does just come across as such an odd fellow, doesn't he?
Poor man, how unfortunate. Anyway, I can't say much until the coroner gets here. But I don't think the fella's been a goner that long. The body's still warm.
Even if the inspector would allow it, I don't think I could bring myself to touch a dead body. Well, the victim's Japanese name is William Potensi, sometimes translated as Potensi. Okay.
All right.
Oh, I said hands off! You're gonna mess up my crime scene.
Oh, no, I just wanted to look, that's all.
No chance. I know you're kind. You'll mess it up just by looking at it.
Someone's in a bad mood.
There's certainly some bad air in here, isn't there? Oh, wait, no, that's the scent of the corpse. My bad. All right, it sounds like I better talk to the inspector first to try and curry some favor. I didn't think it smelled that bad when it just died. God. But apparently so. Jeez. We already tried talking to the inspector, though. He didn't really give us much to go off of. So, Inspector, what was the victim's name? Okay, yeah, it's just the same. Okay. Shut up, shut up. I've already seen it. I just wanted to check and see if there was an extra little bit, maybe. I don't know. I'm stupid. And also, just... I know I can't investigate anything else, so it's like, bleh. I mean, I can talk to Natsume, I guess. I will in a moment. So he actually can't. Okay. That's the check, then to, you know, miss something. Alright. What a terrible thing to have happened.
It's only been 3 days since I was arrested for the incident on the pavement outside. And then, having finally regained my freedom, it starts happening all over again. Endless existence of excruciating experiences!
So the victim lived here on the ground floor, and your room is just one story with an extra E for some reason. Up, isn't it?
Yes, that's right. In a way, we were neighbors, I suppose.
So did you know the victim? Were you friends? Buddy? What's the matter with Soseki-san now? It was an innocent enough question, wasn't it? Why does he seem so shaken by it?
Well, I suppose he wasn't a complete stranger. But did he ever invite me to his room? Never! On my honor, I swear it!
What an extreme reaction. You're probably wishing you'd never asked now, aren't you, Mr. Naruhodo?
We found him here. I felt wretched, which is why I sent word asking you to come. Throw that inspector over there!
Hey! Mr. Sholmes, what are you doing?
Ha! You'd only observe to know it, my dear fellow. Investigating, naturally.
There's nothing natural about that pose.
Mr. Sholmes, have you made some miraculous discovery?
Patience, my dear madam, patience. We've not been here in this room 5 minutes. So far, all I've managed to deduce is what actually happened.
My goodness! But isn't that everything we need to know, Mr. Sholmes?
Now that you propose the idea, I believe one could indeed see it that way. At the present time, I've managed to draw 2 incontrovertible conclusions. The first, that there was a physical struggle here last night in which the victim fought for his life. Mr. Natsume, what's wrong? Is something that Mr. Sholmes said significant somehow?
No, don't mind me. Forget I was here.
Buddy, please, communication, otherwise we're gonna suspect you, even though this is in the past and we know you're innocent. And my second conclusion is that there was a poison lingering in the air here last night that passed the victim's lips.
Nonsense!
Duh! Alright, Mr. Natsume, why are you reacting so extremely to Mr. Sholmes' deductions?
No, please, pretend I'm not here. Invisible, ineffable, inscrutable, insignificant.
Kinda hard to do that when you keep fucking hollering. Impossible to ignore.
You must tell us everything, Mr. Sholmes. Spare no detail.
But of course, let the theatrical tragedy before us be unraveled by my great deductions, presented for your pleasure in 2 acts. We've heard some truly astounding great deductions from Mr. Sholmes in the past. No doubt this will be no exception. What miracles will unfold before our eyes this time? So, my dear fellows, for your delight and wonder, let the curtain rise. For Sherlock Holmes' Logic and Reasoning Spectacular, Act 1. Damn, we're doing it already? Okie dokie. We just got in here. Cause of death. Careful observation of the victim reveals to us the events that transpired in this disconsolate room last night. Foam at the mouth of the deceased clearly indicates the use of poison. Bing. Next to the victim, we notice a large dining plate which contains, you'll observe, 1/2 a sizable bar of soap. Meaningful, indubitably.
why is this set of soap so purposely upon the dish? Like the victim's last supper, in fact. Yes. Could it be that the man was about to eat it? Of course, the fork reveals the answer. Sure, buddy. It appears the young man's appetite was his undoing. Taking up arms in the form of his cutlery, the victim engaged in a deadly battle for his life. Yet the struggle against his hunger was in vain, for in the end he couldn't resist devouring the slippery feast. But London's foul soap was besmirched by fouler poison. Yes, the victim's life was claimed by poison that tainted the contents of the plate. The soap and the lather about the young man's mouth are perfectly too much to ignore. The cause of death was clearly intoxication due to excessive ingestion of foul soap. Though personally I have a greater interest in the taste of foul candle wax, of course. Sholmes, what the fuck? I ate body wash with bread, so I can't say anything. Okay. The cause of death identified, we proceed to Act 2, where we ponder the next question. Was this suicide or murder? The audience will recall that the death occurred during the victim's last supper. Did the man dine and die alone? The single teacup presents the answer. To draw a conclusion on such meager evidence would be foolish, however, certainly. The careful criminal could have absconded with his own cup to cover his tracks. Well, allow me to lift the veil of doubt, my dear fellow. Indeed, what reveals the answer, of course, is the broken lock. Though forced open now, at the time of the incident, this door was locked. And the sole key was in the victim's pocket. In other words, when the victim consumed the poison, he must have been alone. Alone with his inferior soap from whence wafted an inferior scent. And with that acrid aroma lingering in the air, the victim met his end in tragic solitude. We can take comfort only in the fact that his soul was well cleansed on its way to the hereafter. Stellar work. As usual, thus concludes the final act of Herlock Sholmes' great deduction. Well, there's just one thing, Mr. Sholmes. You are disposed to identifying just one thing, aren't you, Mr. Naruhodo? Pray, what concerns you? Well, no matter how hungry he was, do you really think that man would have eaten soap? It is quite apparent that this man had barely a penny to his name. It is a curious thing, but one so destitute, soap can hardly appear. Soap can suddenly appear quite irresistibly appetizing. The victim was poisoned. He ate soap, I think.
How extraordinary.
In truth, I have tried a little soap myself in the past. Shut up! Shut the fuck up about it! Jesus Christ! This is screenshot worthy. You've eaten it, you mean? My dear fellow, it was some time ago now. My postulation was that it would cleanse my gut. I'm starting to think Ladoggle and Sholmes are one and the same. Ladoggle and Sholmes getting real. And did it? As I writhed in agony on the floor and spilled the contents. This is the best Ace Attorney character in the entire franchise. I love this man. As I writhed in agony on the floor and spilt the contents of my stomach, yes, I believe it did. Fuck you, I swallowed it. Jesus. This experience taught me a valuable lesson. Soap is quite poisonous. It is an unpleasant taste and leads to great discomfort. In summary, I cannot recommend it. Believe me, I wouldn't eat it even if you did.
There's something that troubles me as well, actually.
Oh? What's that? He is a dilf.
What? Wait. I mean, I guess Iris is sort of like an adopted daughter for him at this point. I guess. If we play by technicalities, I guess. He can be. Oh, what's that? It's Mr. Natsume. I couldn't help noticing him shuddering and quivering out of the corner of my eye. Almost as if Mr. Sholmes' deductions touched a nerve somehow. Nonsense! Ugh. Well, that clenched teeth episode didn't last. I think, judging by Mr. Natsume's reaction, the great detective's deductions may need some gentle corrections in order to reach the actual truth. As we do. He has a tendency to hit the nail on the side of the head and drive it in at an obtuse angle. When he does that, it falls to us to straighten things out. This almost not a fucking dilf, he's built like a whole twink. He is built like a twink, and yet... 34 years old? Actually, at what age... What? Is there an age limit for twink? James Spear was 31. Okay. Just wanted to check. Alright then, let's see what we can do. Yes, we must pick out the key words in Sholmes' quite brilliant deductions and discreetly exchange them for something that makes a little more sense. If we can do that, I'm sure we'll arrive at what Mr. Sholmes meant to say in the first place. In that case, are you ready for the second performance of the day? Once again, my dear fellows, for your continued delight and wonder, let the curtain rise for Sherlock Sholmes' Logic and Reasoning Spectacular, Act 1. God, y'all are just fucking having a moment in the chat. Okay. Careful observation reveals most of the events that transpired from this room last night. Foam at the mouth of the deceased clearly indicates the use of poison. Next to the victim, we notice a large dining plate, which contains, you will observe, 1/2 a sizable bar of soap. Meaningful, indubitably. Why is this soap set up so purposefully upon the dish? Like the victim's last supper, in fact, yes. Could it be that the man was about to eat it? Of course, the fork reveals the answer. Well, you can't deny the fork implies the man was eating something, or about to eat something. Yes, that's true. If I were to decide to eat some soap, I would prefer to use a fork than attempt to eat it with chopsticks. And of course, only half of the bar of soap was left on the plate. That's a big-ass bar of soap if that's only half of it, Jesus! But might there not be some other explanation? Something material that proves whether or not the man really ate some soap. Don't look at the chat, don't look at the chat. Do not associate with it, do not... keep your eyes away. Do you think he was drinking tea with his soap? The cup's empty, so there's no way of knowing. Ah, how's this for an idea? Perhaps the cup was full of water. And he was dissolving soap in it so he could gulp as much down as possible. Hello, officer. I'd like to report a Ladoggle moment. Please remember that he may not actually have been the soap lover that he's made out to be. Well, that was fruitless. Other piece of soap, huh? Look, there's more soap on the floor here. Mr. Shamsby must have really loved this stuff. Jesus. We are really throwing this dead man under the bus. Let's not jump to conclusion, Mr. Naruhodo. Look closely at this soap. Do you see they would fit together perfectly with the half bar on the table? What the? How can that be? I think there are two halves of the same bar that broke apart. Okay. Let me analyze the fork a bit closer, actually. I suppose you'd eat soap with a fork, would you? I don't think it's a question of... Oh, wait, no, we haven't read this, okay. But then why? Why does this man have a fork in his hand? Oh, dear, I understand your frustration, Mr. Naruhodo, but please don't take it out on me. The point is, if we decide the man used this fork to eat soap, wouldn't be changing Mr. Sholmes' deduction. So we really ought to consider some other clues. Okay. Okay. Can we rotate any further? No, it's just these two angles. Okay. What exactly am I looking for here? Was he about to eat it? Of course. I mean, I see this right here, this stain. Would that correlate to that, maybe? I don't know. But also, I don't think the teacup would reveal the answer about if he was about to eat fucking soap, is the thing. So it's like... I'm sort of at a crossroads? At a crossroad, excuse the hell out of me, to where I'm like caught between two different lines of questioning. The other stuff was on the ground, he didn't eat it. Yeah, I guess, but are we just supposed to like, oh wait, fuck, yeah, I'm an idiot.
Take that!
Me when it's right in front of my face and I just don't get it. Could it be if the man was about to eat it? Of course, the other piece of soap reveals the answer. It being the other half of soap on the table. Of the soap on the table. God. Should I be playing this today? I feel like I'm out of it. But it's obvious, really, for no depths of hunger could drive any man to attempt to eat soap. Even I, with my unquenchable thirst for practical knowledge, took only a single bite. Did the Silent Hill stream hit that hard? Yes, Xehanort's $19 Fortnite card hit me that hard, apparently. But that begs the question of how the man was poisoned, because there's no sign of any food on the table. An excellent observation, Mr. Naruhodo, and one that furnishes us with the answer we seek. For London's foul soap is besmirched. I think it's the 1-2 combo of Kingdom Hearts talk from somebody who's never played Kingdom Hearts, followed by this whole soap tangent. My brain is just fucking, you know, going. Besmirched by foul poison. Yes, the victim's life was claimed by poison that tainted the contents of the plate. Mr. Sholmes is still pushing the soap argument then. Yeah. Perhaps he's suggesting the man lick the soap rather than ate it. If soap in London is that poisonous, I don't think I'd be washing my hands with it. But there are no signs of any food in this room at all. Of course, food isn't the only thing that passes people's lips, is it? What about the teacup? Crabs is dolphin noise. That was what they were saying in that episode the whole time. They weren't saying motherfucker, they were saying dilf. No, shut me up. Just put me out of my misery. Yes, the victim's life was claimed by poison that tainted the teacup. Indeed, cups have been the vessel of choice for practicing poisoners over the century. It would appear that this victim drank every last drop. There's no sign of food anywhere in the room. Which leads us to the immutable conclusion. The cause of death was clearly intoxication due to the ingestion of poison contained in his teacup. Stream is cursed. What happened? The soap happened! This time I don't think it was any of... Well, okay. Some of chat made it worse, but I feel like the soap instigated things. God, okay. The cause of death identified, we proceed to Act 2, where we ponder the next question. Was this suicide or murder? The audience will recall that the death occurred during the victim's last supper. Does a man dine and die alone? This single teacup's just the answer. Ah, the Western vessel for infused hot drinks again. It's featured heavily in our deduction so far. Crunchy soap on the reg. Yeah. There would be nothing remarkable about that, but what troubles me is Mr. Natsume's reaction when he heard Mr. Sholmes suggest it. There's more to the deduction than it seems. We must closely examine the scene of the crime again for some more clues. Alright, let's take a look for more clues. Oh shit.
Take that!
Did the man dine and die alone? This other teacup suggests the answer. Yes! There were 2 teacups in this room all along! In other words, this is a strong indication that the victim's last supper, there was a guest present. Wait, why are we using that one dude from the jury as the silhouette? At the very least, we can now say with certainty that someone else was here in this room last night, taking tea with the victim.
What are you talking about? Utterly, unbelievably, unjustly unreasonable!
To draw a conclusion on such meager evidence would be foolish, however, certainly. In which case, what more can we deduce about this possible guest at the table? Well, allow me to lift the veil of doubt, my dear fellow. Do you mean to say you know who exactly was in this room at the time of the victim's death? Green tea fucks. You right. That's the only kind of tea I can stomach, to be honest. Like I don't drink tea otherwise, but green tea's all right. I'm not sure if I like where this deduction is going now. I'm afraid it's too late to go back to the halcyon days of eating too much soap. Shut up! I love this game. But the identity of the guest who was here last night when the victim passed away is something I have a very bad feeling about. We can try to ignore your feelings, but we cannot ignore the truth, Mr. Naruhodo. No, I suppose not. Time to look around again. Alright. What's up with the books? At first glance, it seems that the only things in this room are the makeshift stage and the costumes. I overlooked these 3 books initially. So, I wonder what they are. Let's see, the titles read, The Picture of Monsieur Lecoq, Canterbury Yearnings, and A Meal for Gabriel. I don't know how to pronounce most of those, I'm sorry. Wait, I'm sure I've heard those titles. Yeah, I was gonna say, wait, yeah, those sound familiar. It could just be an incredible coincidence, but they're the exact same 3 books that Mr. Natsume purchased the other day. What? Yeah, on the day of the unfortunate incident when Miss Green was stabbed, Soseki-san just been to a bookshop and bought them. And now those 3 titles are here in the room of the victim. Yet Mr. Natsume claims to have never been here before. What does this mean, do you think? I really don't know what to make of it. This pile of familiar books. Hey, Sholmesy! Peek the literature over here, eh? Indeed. What reveals the answer, of course, is the pile of familiar books. Quite so. It's no mere coincidence that these 3 titles are here in this room. It's the link to the truth. Duh! Mr. Natsume, you purchased these books 4 days ago at a secondhand bookshop.
That's just a coincidence.
In that case, you will be able to bring the same 3 titles from your own room, will you not? This very moment.
No, never, non-negotiable.
If you can't bring your own copies here, it proves that these 3 books are in fact yours. Having purchased the books 4 days ago and returned to your lodgings, you were arrested the very next day. Hey, well, Doggle, remember how we were talking about the Germa Dumpy thing last night? Fucking Soseki's pose reminds me of that so vividly, and I hate that. I hate that. Stop it. Get out of my head. So you could conceivably have brought the books here on that evening, but you never mentioned that. In other words, you could have only brought these 3 books here to the victim's room. Damn, he got the moves, though. Last night, having returned to your lodgings after the trial concluded at the Old Bailey. In short, there's only one possible conclusion. The victim died here in this room last night as a result of poisoning. And that same night, the victim had a visitor. And that visitor taps his way across the street. It's pretty good. Was you, Mr. Soseki Natsume? I need a drink. Soseki Natsume at the scene. Shit. Deduction complete. Good shit.
Not again, not again, not again! Not again!
Well then, Mr. Natsume. It would appear you're gonna have to accompany me down to the yard. Again.
But wait! Hold your horses!
Yes.
Door, key, locked. Entry, exit, entirely impossible.
He's so flustered he's even being stranger than normal. What, you think that's an alibi? You could have just made a copy.
What?
You live in the same building after all. You have plenty of opportunity, I'm sure.
But like... Misery me!
Sorry, sir, you'll get your chance to give your side of the story later. The facts speak for themselves, Mr. Mustache.
You horrible airlock Sholmes!
He really has found himself an arch rival now, hasn't he? Come on now, no dilly-dallying. Outside, there's a carriage awaiting.
Welcome, student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire!
Looks like he's an English student, so imagine if he used bars. No, shut.
I never imagined I'd be in this position again, but... You have to help me, please! I'm innocent!
Alright, I understand. We'll come to your cell later and talk about it.
And one more thing.
Oh, yes?
My poor little kitty cat. Please give him his breakfast for me.
And so, his evil curse still apparently unbroken, Soseki-san found himself once again the prime suspect in a case of murder. Thanks to the incriminating deduction of the great detective. My dear fellow, that honor belongs to you. Well, at least that means Inspector Gregson is no longer here. We can examine the crime scene in more detail now. Yeah, that's right. Ah, and of course... What? Have you forgotten what the inspector mentioned before? If it was the landlord, Mr. Garadeb, who discovered Mr. Shamspear. Mr. John Garadeb, yes. I expect we could find him in his sitting room at the top floor as usual. Right, we must remember to go and talk to him later then. Alright. Examination. What's that? What's this? It looks like part of an envelope, I think. Yeah, I think you may be right. Perhaps it was torn off when the letter was opened. Is that significant? Well, it's a little out of place, perhaps, when you look around the room. There's no sign of a letter, or the rest of the envelope, in fact, is there? She's right. And yet, here we have the torn off end of an envelope. It just strikes me as unusual. I agree. We'd better take this, just in case. A ripped piece of an envelope that was found in Mr. Shamspear's room. The rest of the envelope could not be located. Boop. Look at these extravagant, bright costumes. Somehow they look out of place in this room with its grim, shady goings-on. This one looks like a king's attire. A king? I've always dreamt of being a king. Oh, I think you'd be more suited to a feudal lord, a daimyo or such like. With a... I don't even know where to begin. Hold on, let me look that up. Chonman. Okay. How do you pronounce that? Google, tell me how to pronounce it, please. It doesn't give me the pronunciation. Fuck, that's weird. Okay. With a top knot? Every Japanese man wishes he had chonmouds. Oh, he looked wonderful with one. He already had the sword. Could you imagine what would happen if I walked around the streets of London with that and all that? God.
Let's look over here on the dirty shelf. This busted ass, rusty ass, cobweb filled shelf.
There's not so much on these shelves, is there? Just this wine glass and bottle. And both of them are cracked.
Yeah, not much use, are they? What's the matter?
Oh, I was just reminded of the Reaper, that's all.
Prosecutor Lauren Van Zeeks?
Yeah, he's so reckless with his wine glasses. I was thinking it's a waste and that he should donate some to the needy.
You can suggest it next time we meet. Oh boy, we're definitely gonna see him again though, yeah. That's just a brick window. I don't think there's anything to be done there. And here we have another disproportionately large machine. This looks like a meter of some kind.
Ah, this is a gas meter, I think. Seems in this district, residents pay for gas as they use it with coins.
Ah, I see. Now that you've pointed out, I can see that there's just a slot here. It looks like it would take a coin.
So you mean if you put a coin in here, that's right, that would buy you about 2 hours of gas for lights and heating.
So if you were a poor person with no money, you'd have to sleep in the freezing cold?
Yeah, or if you were a scatterbrain with no change because you forgot to exchange your money at the bank.
Thank goodness there's no meter in our office. This is a gas wall light, isn't it? Must be connected to a gas pipe in the wall.
Gas lights, a gas stove. London really is a city of gas.
But now that I think about it, Mr. and Mrs. Garrett had an open fire on the top floor, didn't they?
Oh yeah, you're right. I don't recall seeing a gas stove up there.
Well, I much prefer a real fire anyway. It's so much cozier. Now let's look at this set, I guess.
Some sort of makeshift stage, I think, isn't it?
Where's the audience sit, though, for the nightly Shakespeare performances?
Actors aspiring to the great stage must practice their art, Mr. Naruhodo, with or without an audience. In fact, on a related note, perhaps you should set up a mock bench for defense in your office.
What?
You can practice your art every single day.
I'll think about it, if he promises to don a beard and play the role of the judge.
Well, if that would help you achieve your goal.
Oh, this I have to see. All right, let's investigate the body.
Oh, the poor man, so young to die. I suppose it was a very painful death, being poisoned as he was.
I don't know. All we can do now is hope that he'll be reborn to a better life.
Yes, I suppose you're right. I wonder. Do you think that putting our hands together in a Japanese prayer will help a British soul?
Sorry?
I made sure I had reference at the ready for just such an occasion as this, actually. This book is entitled The Beginner's Guide to Praying for the Departed, the British Way. I'll just reread it now. One moment.
There's quite a spine on that book, isn't there? Let's look at the teacup.
Ah, one of the teacups that Mr. Shamspeare and his guest drank from last night. But don't go drinking from them, Mr. Naruhodo. There's bitter poison inside.
I'm not planning on drinking any, don't worry. Anyway, these cups are both empty.
That's true. So one was Mr. Shamspeare's, and the other must be the cup that Mr. Natsume was drinking from.
But Soseki-san wasn't poisoned, of course. Perhaps we should take these so that we can examine them in more detail later. The pair of teacups. The one with the green line around the rim was Mr. Natsume's. Is there anything else to examine? Anything at all? Please, please, please let me know. Well, actually, I mean, there's that brick wall, I guess. I didn't really think that was that important. Usually they tell me when I'm done investigating. Or I guess we could go check up with Garadeb if that's open on the map. I'll check if that's open after I check this. As we've seen from the outside, the window is completely bricked up.
A vestige of the former window tax that Britons had to pay.
What strange things they used to tax in Great Britain. I mean, making people pay for a number of windows they had in a property? It's extraordinary.
It's heartbreaking to think of the poor having to block up their windows just to avoid an unaffordable tax.
Oh, what is it, Mr. Sato?
If you look closely, a number of the bricks are loose.
Oh, shit. Oh, god damn it. It looks as though an amateur has broken out a few of them just here. Get the soap out of there! Was it Mr. Shamster who did it, I wonder? Being the lodger renting this room? I just don't want to see soap again right now, God.
Oh, look at this, Mr. Naruhodo. On the outside, there's a little ledge. There's something on it. What, outside? It's so cold outside. You can feel it through this gap. It did snow all last night. It would be cold, but more importantly, what is it on the ledge out there? Where are those snow-covered lumps? It's more bars of soap. Soap? What are bars of soap doing lined up on a ledge outside the window? I have no idea. The pair of them look rather charming like that. Still, that's very strange, isn't it? Bars of soap lined up outside the window? I think perhaps we should take one. For luck. There are two, after all. Oh dear, I suppose we could. Oh, what's this? Look here at this soap. Ah! Do you see in the middle there? There's a patch that's a different color. It's sort of transparent, but some sort of fancy design, I suppose. Mid-afternoon snack. Two soaps having only in Great Britain. It looks like the Hinomaru flag of Japan, doesn't it? How wonderful! It's probably a very expensive brand. Expensive? Then what's it doing in this ramshackle old room? Looks like you're having a good snoop around, eh? Oh, looks like you're having a good snoop around, eh? Inspector Gregson! Back so soon. After I threw that little Japanese fella in the clink, I went and reported this to the investigation division. In 5 minutes' time, this place will be cordoned off by the yard. Oh, I see. Well, we'd better be leaving then. Poor Mr. Natsume must be feeling very low, being back in his cell again so soon. I'm sure. We should probably go and... What's wrong, Mr. Naruhodo? Ah! Out! Out, brave candle! Life is but a walking shadow, a poor player. That struts and frets his hour upon the stage, and then is heard no more. Check for a fucking pulse. I mean, we couldn't. Gregson's fucking ass. Well, I mean, I guess we could have after he left, but, you know. Now, how soundeth the next part? It is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. Oh, mein God, I accidentally have sent a picture of mine cock and balls. Prithee delete it. God damn it, Ladoggle. Oh, indeed, oh, happy day. Jesus. Walking Dead! God, this is the most case in this fucking collection so far. Look at the way the knee bends. The fella isn't dead at all? What was that nonsense he was saying, though? I think, yeah, it was from William Shakespeare's Macbeth. A soliloquy from Act 5, Scene 5. Shakespeare. So it was that the victim, William Shamspeare, came back to life. If the man had indeed been poisoned, it transpired that it hadn't killed him. He was taken by emergency carriage to a nearby hospital for treatment. And Inspector Gregson evicted us from the scene of the crime, whatever that now was. Oh hey, it's the other guy that we saw in case 4. I see him back there. Whatever do you think will happen now? Good question. What a strange situation for Mr. Natsume. Arrested for murder, but then the victim comes back to life. I think perhaps the victim was never dead in the first place. It seemed very likely that Mr. Shamspeare did consume poison, as we deduced. But was it an accident, attempted suicide, or attempted murder? Until the truth can be established, I imagine the police will keep Mr. Natsume in custody. I suppose so. Let's hope it doesn't come to anything more than a night in the cells. Oh, what's this? What's that man doing over there? He looks like he's trying to see into Soseki-san's lodgings. Is something wrong, Mr. Naruhodo? Excuse me? Can we have a word? Ah! He just ran off. With the most snooty I've ever heard in my life. I feel sure that I've seen that man somewhere before. Where was it? I do too, but I don't remember. Well, let's get the fuck out. Oh shit, we can go to the Gyarados room. Here we are again, the eccentric landlord's eccentric top floor abode. We're here because Mr. Gyarados is the one who discovered the incident this morning, don't forget. Ah, you chaps, eh? Yes, good morning, sir. Thank you for your cooperation in court yesterday. It's quite a trial. As much for Mr. Gyarados as anyone, really. Came straight back here after all that business at the Bailey yesterday. I didn't expect to wake up to more bally nonsense this morning. I wonder if you wouldn't mind telling us exactly what happened, Mr. Gyarados? Yes, I suppose you'd like to know all about that dead loss of an actor chap in the ground floor room. Those were exactly Inspector Gregson's words, weren't they? Oh shit, for real? Okay. It must have been a real shock for you this morning. I hear that you discovered what happened. Ah, well, that hopeless actor chap rises at 5 o'clock sharp every morning without fail. But at 5:30 this morning, he still hadn't lit the gas. So I went down and knocked on his door, but no bally answer. And that's when you broke into his room by kicking down the door? Well, I called on that rum-looking Japanese chap to do the grunt work, of course. Wasn't it a little premature to kick the door down? The man could have just overslept by half an hour. That's very true, Mr. Naruhodo. If 30 minutes oversleeping warranted such behavior, I'd have to kick your door down every morning. Well, you know, better to be safe than sorry and all that. Is it just me, or is he avoiding our gaze now all of a sudden? Except that it was a sorry situation indeed you found on the far side of the door. Yeah, as a landlord, he probably should have a copy of the key, yeah. Mr. Shamspear. The victim's name is Mr. Shamspear, I believe. Is that right? Yes, William Shamspear. I took the ground floor room 3 months ago now. And how would you describe him? In a word, destitute. Destitute? Well, let's face it, the only redeeming feature of that room is the cheap rent. Anyone wanting to live in a place like that is either broke or has a bally screw loose. So hard to choose which categories the Seki-san would fall into. Mr. Naruhodo, that's a little rude. He was doing research as well. Research? Into what? Shakespeare, of course, Shakespeare! Read a few plays of the old bard myself, you know, Romeo and Hamlet and all that. Yes, William Shakespeare is England's most highly regarded classical playwright and author. He's known as Sao in Japanese, as you know, and many of his works have already been translated. It seems incredible that Shakespeare was shortened to Sao, though. Someone was too heavy-handed there. There were a lot of costumes in the victim's room, actually, weren't there? Of course, Mr. Natsume is a scholar of English literature as well. I imagine he and Mr. Shamspear would have had much in common. Shakespeare interpretation disagreement leads to shocking murder. Let's hope it's not that. Mr. Naruhodo, really, how rude! I'm in my thoughts. Sure, I'm being a bit of a bitch right now, but how are you hearing my thoughts, honey? And Unless I've been misinterpreting what the blue text means all this time. After Mr. Natsume's trial yesterday, you came straight back here, I believe, didn't you? Did you notice anything strange between then and this morning? Well, now, must have been about 6 in the evening by the time I got home. Snow was coming down rather heavily, as I remember, and it was completely dark already. That failed actor chap was out at the time. Secured, I've noticed there was no light from his room or something, I suppose. Couldn't summon the energy for anything much, so I just sat in front of the fire up here. It was after 8 before Shamsky got back. And the chap was up until past 1 in the morning, I'll have you know. Suppose he bet his end sometime after that. I was asleep by then, so I'm rather in the dark there. Well, thank you. That was very illuminating. Is everything all right, Mrs. Sato?
Well, I was just thinking it's a little strange, that's all.
Mr. Garadeb, you were up here in your room all evening, if I've understood correctly.
Not a big fan of stairs. Not this blasted leg.
Then, how is it that you seem to know? The precise movements of your tenant on the ground floor, I mean. That's a very good point. I can't imagine that you could hear noises from the ground floor all the way up here. Does this old man like to spy on his tenants? Is that it?
I say, I know what you're thinking, and it's a bally outrage. I'm ex-military, don't you know? I don't go around spying on my tenants. Why would I?
Then, how did you know, Mr. Garadeb?
It's the gas, woman. The gas tells everything.
The gas? What on earth do you mean, sir? How could the gas tell you anything, let alone everything?
Well, as you're probably aware, the gas is supplied to the building by pipes.
Yes, I more or less worked that out. Every room in the building is connected by a single pipe to the gas main outside. And the gas company supplies gas to the properties via the main. Yes, I understand that too.
Let me see if I can explain. Let's say I was to light the gas lamps up here. Hey, Barry White. I don't know. For some reason the Germa bit with the gas just clicked in my head and I was like, oop. I don't even watch his streams, I just watch clips. But they just stick in my head for some reason. I should probably stop goofing around though. We're an hour and a half in and we're still not at Soseki. What do you suppose would happen? Well, obviously the room would get brighter. Exactly, but at the time, the lights in all the other rooms in the house would dim for a moment.
What? They dim? Why? Perhaps it's because when you light a gas lamp, it briefly uses more than usual? And that reduces the amount in the pipe for the other lamps that are connected to it.
Right, it would be all connected.
That might explain why the other lamps dim momentarily, mightn't it? Yes, of course, because everything's connected to a single supply pipe. Is it supposed to happen, though? It sounds rather undesirable.
Jolly good point. Fact is, the gas company's pipes in these parts are pretty hopeless. Long worn out, barely got any gas in them to start with. Opposite's also true, of course. Extinguish the lamps up here, and they glow brighter in the rest of the house.
Ah, right, I see. So by watching the flickering of the lamps in one room, you can determine what's happening elsewhere.
You've got it.
Oh, of course, because when people come back home in the evening and before they go to sleep at night, what they're guaranteed to do is either light or put out their lamps and fires. Clever.
In a point of fact, the room on the ground floor and the one above it use slightly different amounts of gas. By watching the lights in here close, I can work out almost exactly what's going on in the whole house.
Gosh, that's fascinating, Mr. Garadeb. Absolutely fascinating.
Oh, well, nothing to it, really.
I can't see it's really going to help us with the case either. What I'd like to know is why Mr. Garadeb is so interested in what his tenants are up to in the first place. I feel like there's a bit more to it than idle curiosity. Well, we've done as much investigating here as we can, I think. Perhaps we ought to go to prison and speak with Mr. Natsume again.
A good idea.
Let's go to the prison. Mr. Natsume, I'm gonna need to talk with you for a moment. Oh, he's very sad, as usual. Look, Mr. Naruhodo. Mr. Natsume, have the police finished questioning you now?
Welcome, student Mr. Naruhodo, Esquire.
Oh, yes?
What is he? Tell me. Is he a ghost? Is he here to haunt me?
Let me guess, you're talking about Mr. Sholmes? I mean, yeah, it makes sense why he's sad, but still, it's like, damn, man. He actually calls himself a great detective, Mr. Natsume, not a ghost.
But it's diabolical deductions. They're not of this world. They've left me. Cursed. I'm cursed, I tell you.
Well, that sort of hurts. Credit where credit is due, Mr. Naruhodo. You were heavily involved in the deduction, too. Yeah, moving on, we have some wonderful news.
Oh?
The victim that we all thought was dead came back to life again. Now, in the absolutely worst case, you can only be tried for attempted murder. That's great, isn't it, Mr. Natsume?
It's terrible.
Oh.
I'm stuck in this cell, suffering for some silly wrong end of the stick. You did it, didn't you? Confess, you're a killer. Why the mustache? Your constant questions.
I'm sorry to hear that.
That selfish shyster! Make up your mind! Are you dead or alive? If you were going to come back to life, why bother dying? Wickedly wishy-washy William!
Well, it seems likely that Mr. Shakespeare was never actually dead in the first place.
Ah yes, that might make sense. And please, he's alive, of course. Our lively debate last night was much fun. I'd be sad to think it was our last.
Oh.
Oops.
Mr. Natsume, does this mean that you did see the victim last night? You met with Mr. Shamspear, didn't you?
I'm not saying another word. I demand to have a lawyer present.
Who do you think I am? Please, Mr. Natsume, we need to hear your side of the story.
Why am I cursed like this?
Can you tell us exactly what happened last night then, Mr. Natsume?
There's nothing to tell, but Mr. Naruhodo, Esquire, I'm eternally grateful to you for helping me with that accursed case yesterday.
The case that saw poor Miss Green hospitalized after she ended up with a knife in her back. It's hard to believe that was only yesterday. Yeah, feels like it's been a couple weeks now.
After the trial was over, I trudged my weary way back to my lonely lodgings. And that evening, at past 9 it must have been, I visited Mr. Shamspear.
So you did go to the victim's room then? As we feared.
I didn't do anything wrong! I'd never been to his room before, it was the first time!
Then what made you decide to go?
I bumped into him when I arrived back at the house. We got chatting and it developed into a discussion. But he had to go out, so I bade him farewell.
That ties in with what Mr. Garrideb said. The victim went out and came back after 8.
We met again later that evening, at around 9, or just after, when I took him some nice tea I brewed as a gift.
So it was you who brought the tea that had clearly been drunk at the scene then. And I suppose you were discussing the works of Shakespeare, were you?
Yes, that's right. That's exactly right. Romeo and Juliet! Who was the stronger? It was a delightful debate.
I'm sure.
Such a stimulating subject, Shakespeare!
And the debate became very heated, so you slipped the poison into Mr. Shamspear's tea.
No, never! Not at all! Team Juliet won, that was me! And when I left this room, the flamboyant fellow was fighting fit, I swear it! It was categorically.
Oh, jeez. Oh, Natsume, I do enjoy your presence, but your voice murders my throat. Mr. Natsume, you often say the same thing about yourself, I've noticed, that you have a cursed existence.
I'm sure I've mentioned this to you before, but I've been here in Great Britain for a year now, and in that time I've learned that it's no place for me.
It can be very trying to live in a foreign land and adapt to the ways of another culture.
There are foreigners everywhere I look, and they all stare at me, they all laugh. That's the impression I get wherever I go out. It makes me scared to leave my room. Which is why I've become a recluse. Even in my room, I find no respite from my fears. I moved more times than I can remember. And then, 1 week ago, I moved into Briar Road.
But why? I mean, why'd you choose that place? It doesn't seem very, comfortable.
Because the rent is cheap. I have so little money, it spoke to me.
The rent?
Obviously, there's a reason why it's cheap, because the room is cursed.
Cursed? Cursed how?
The previous occupant, the man who lived there before I took the room, died there.
Oh no!
He was only a young man, but one morning he was found dead and no one could explain why. Surely no one wants to live in a room with a history like that. I didn't. When the letting agent recommended the place, I wavered. But I want books, and books cost money! A horrible history is a small price to pay. When I realized it would mean I could buy more books, I signed the lease like lightning.
Brave or blinkered?
But after I moved in, I soon came to realize what I'd done. I realized how horrible that room's history really was.
Gosh, was it really so awful? Horrible history. How did the room's horrible history affect you, Mr. Natsume? What happened?
What happened? At first it was just a feeling of beady eyes boring into my back, watching me.
Do you think that might just have been your mind playing tricks on you?
No. My mind doesn't know any tricks. It was someone else. It's been one long nightmare ever since I was given the keys to the place.
A nightmare? You've been having bad dreams, you mean?
All the souls who died in this room lean over me in my sleep and try to strangle me.
That really is horrible.
And now I come to think of it, it happened again last night too. The very same night that Mrs. Shamspeare was writhing in agony from the poison in his body. He was on the verge of being suffocated silently by those miserable spirits in my room.
You simply must move out of that room as soon as possible.
Yes, you're right, I know it, and that's why. I'm already searching for a next room with a history to call home.
I think perhaps you should try and avoid accommodation with any kind of history at all. Otherwise, I'm scared that you yourself may become history.
Yeah.
Ooh, so Sato-san knows how to make the man listen.
Of course, my lord of the manor is worried about the curse on my room as well.
You Mr. Garrideb?
Yes, he knows that if people keep dying there, he'll never be able to rent it out again.
Well, that's true. I, for one, wouldn't go near the place. Perhaps that may explain why the landlord paid so much attention to the gas lamps and his tenants' movements. Yeah? You mean because he's worried about their well-being? He does seem to have unusually keen interest in the amount of gas in the pipes. Must be a reason why he keeps such close tabs on the occupants of his rooms.
What do you mean he pays so much attention to the gas lamps?
Oh dear, no, it's nothing to do with you, Mr. Natsume. Please, forget I said anything.
Oh, now you're talking about me behind my back as well.
What's important is that Mr. Shamspeare isn't, in fact, dead at all. Once he's come around and he's able to tell us what happened, we'll be able to get you released.
Yes, please. Oh, I do hope you're right.
Excuse me. Excuse me. Inspector Gregson! I couldn't help overhearing what you just said, and on that note, I have some good news and some bad news.
Oh.
What do you want first?
Always, every time, the bad news comes first. When hope is all you have, hold on to it. That's my guiding principle.
Right, well, in that case, the good news it is.
Huh?
Sorry, but it's just a lot easier to explain everything that way. Why did you ask then?
Why do you ask me my preference?
Yeah. As you might have heard, the victim, Mr. Shamspeare, was just unconscious. He's come around now. Yeah, we saw it happen in all of its terrifying glory. He's still being treated by the doctors, but we've managed to get a written statement from him already. Oh, isn't that wonderful, Mr. Natsume?
Oh, thank goodness. It's all over then. I can leave this somber cell.
Sorry, no, that's not on the cards.
What?
Why ever not, Inspector?
Mr. Shamspear has implicated someone as being responsible for what happened last night. Implicated someone? Oh dear!
You don't mean...
I'm sorry to say I do, yes. He's pointed the finger at you, Mr. Natsume.
Ah!
By sweet poison did he seek to end my life. That wickedest caitiff, Soseki Natsume.
No!
So I'm afraid you'll be appearing in a court as planned. You'll be wanted to make the necessary preparations.
No!
And so, once again, Soseki-san found himself having to take the dock in the Old Bailey. Whether his room was haunted, or whether he was just terribly unlucky, I knew I had no choice. The following day, I would represent him in court, and do my utmost to break the curse that blighted him. Let's go. Let's go. We don't have nearly enough shit for a trial, but I guess we're doing it anyway. All right, it's trial time. Squawk, trial time. All right, let's fucking go. Nearly is another fucking day. Yep. Boop. The Old Bailey. This place always makes me feel strange. It seems to get chills down my spine and break out in a nervous sweat all at the same time. Well, I didn't think I'd be back here so soon.
That's my line! Good morning!
Good morning, Mr. Natsume.
It was only 2 days ago that I was declared not guilty here.
Yes, we somehow managed to prove he didn't stab Miss Green in the back.
But now this! Another morning, another murder, and here I am again in this hellhole! Can't keep coming to court!
I'm beginning to think he's right. He really does seem as though he's cursed. Mr. Naruhodo, I'm afraid I have bad news. Oh! Mr. Natsume, good morning.
Yes, morning.
So, here we are again.
Yes, again. Esquires, what's the bad news?
Oh dear, you heard, did you?
If you come in shouting at the top of your voice, people can't help hearing what you say.
Oh, I am sorry. You've done nothing wrong, Mrs. Sato. Now, what is it? Well, it seems that the prosecution in today's trial... Say it. Will be led by Lord Barrick Van Zeeks.
Oh boy!
Who would have thunk? Van Zeeks?
Oh no! Oh no!
The so-called Reaper of the Bailey, the most legendary prosecutor in all the land. Actually, maybe Soseki is cursed.
Yep.
In the trial 2 days ago, he pursued Soseki-san and I relentlessly. Of course, by the skin of our teeth, we managed to pull through, but still. Perhaps Mr. Natsume's acquittal in the last trial wasn't the end of the matter. After all, yeah, I know what you're thinking. The legend of the Reaper says, nothing can save a person in the dock when Lord Van Zeeks is the prosecutor.
Oh no.
Even if the person is found not guilty, the accused will meet a mysterious end one way or another. We've experienced it firsthand. A man we successfully defended met the most terrifying end after his acquittal, right here in the Old Bailey.
Do I have to put up with those ice-cold eyes boring into my soul again? Cursed by evil spirits and now by the Reaper. Pair of petrifying perils, potentially.
Well, if it's potentially, at least you appear to have hope, Mr. Natsume.
Welcome soon, Mr. Naruhodo, Esquire.
Yeah, yes?
I'm innocent. You have to believe me. You more than anyone now.
Don't worry. I'll be your steadfast ally every step of the way in this battle. I promise! And this promises to be a hard battle, I fear.
Well, the trial is scheduled to begin shortly. We should move into the courtroom.
Let's go.
Oh yeah, I forgot to say.
I'm afraid he won't be able to make it. Mr. Sholmes, I mean.
Damn. That's probably for the best.
Oh!
If he were here, I might be tempted to rely on his help, and that could be seen as a weakness. If Lord Van Zieks were to notice, he'd prey on it mercilessly. At least that's my gut feeling. Mr. Naruhodo.
You're right. Yes, you're so right. So true, bestie. Well said, locum student, Mr. Naruhodo, Esquire. Well said.
I swear on the sword at my side, and on the spirit of Cosmo that it harbors. I'll show him what a Japanese lawyer can do. I'll set you free. With honor.
Oh yes!
Let's go.
Student Mr. Naruhodo, bestie. Now that's cursed.
In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session. I now call upon the counsels for the prosecution and defense to declare their willingness to proceed.
The prosecution is ready. The defense is ready, my lord. Readiness for the trial, my learned Nipponese friend, is not what the defense needs. What you need is a readiness for your inevitable defeat. It's not just my imagination, it's really there. Lord Van Zieks has such an animosity towards us Japanese for some reason. It was some time ago now that he first became known as the Reaper of the Bailey, I believe. These past few years he hasn't appeared in court at all. Yet now he's back in the courtroom, though for some reason, only when I'm defending. This Reaper with his curious disdain for us Japanese is a prosecutor shrouded in mystery. Still, this isn't the time to be pondering about that. I have to concentrate on Saseki-san's trial.
Furthermore, I now call upon the 6 ladies and gentlemen of the jury. You have been chosen at random to represent the will of the people in this trial. Are you ready to fulfill your duty?
Him again? God damn!
Absolutely. I had a feeling this larrikin wasn't innocent before.
You too?
I must say I feel especially ruthless on days when my hat refuses to sit right.
You as well? Is there anyone new? Well, there's somebody new next to this guy.
Oh, well, I rather like how you're wearing your hat. I think the ruthless look is very fetching, actually. Oh, I need to be somewhere at 10 o'clock. I have a very important meeting. Let's make this quick.
I couldn't agree more. I need to take home 5 bob tonight or the missus will go through the roof.
Oh, may the Lord show us all the light here and lead his flock to a righteous verdict. The British jury system is so very different to our own, isn't it? It's quite extraordinary to think that the power of the judgment is in the hands of 6 members of the public. And the judge can only pass sentence when all jurors are in agreement about the defendant's guilt.
6 citizens of London, chosen at random, quote unquote. Or at least that's the idea.
The prosecution would like to draw attention to the fact that the accused was on trial here but 2 days ago. Accordingly, where possible, the same jurors have been asked to return for duty today. Very well, let us commence the trial. Lord Van Zieks, your opening statement, please. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, it is not the intent of the prosecution to cast doubt over your past decision. However, the innocent verdict afforded to this eccentric Nipponese before has had dire consequences. Did the accused repent for his wrongdoing in that affair? Far from it. Instead, he uses freedom to perpetrate a most blood-curdling crime. Namely, that of the attempted murder of his neighboring lodger, an innocent Englishman. To explain the circumstances of this crime, the prosecution calls its first witnesses to the stand. cloak off real quick. The detective responsible for investigating this scene and the accused himself.
Alright, let's go.
Witnesses, your names and occupations, please.
Yes, sir. Tobias Gregson, Detective Inspector at Scotland Yard's Homicide Division.
Soseki Natsume from the Empire of Japan. My government ordered me to come here as a student to study your language and culture. Mr. Natsume? Yes, my lord, sir. I'm quite sure I'm not mistaken that you swore an oath to never set foot in my courtroom again. I remember it as if it were yesterday. The day before, in fact, my lord. But close enough. Believe me, this is the last place I want to be. Inspector, let's hear from you first. Explain the case for the court.
Right you are, sir. The incident occurred at the Garrideb household, where the defendant has lodgings. In the ground floor room of the victim, Mr. William Shamspeare. The defendant has already admitted to visiting the victim on the night in question. Mr. Shamspeare collapsed in his room as a result of a poisoning by... strychnine? I'm gonna say strychnine. Strychnine. He was found the following morning when the landlord, suspecting something was wrong, broke down the door.
This means, I presume, that the door to the victim's room was locked at the time of the incident. Correct, my lord. It was locked from the inside, making entry to or exit from the room impossible.
Although the victim, Mr. Shamspeare, lives to tell the tale, he very nearly didn't. That man was halfway to heaven when we first found him. I was the first officer on the scene, my lord, and I have a photographic print here that I took at the time to show how it looked.
Yes, a chilling scene indeed. This man looks very much deceased. That's a dead bitch right there.
That's right, everyone present believed that was exactly what he was. A dead bitch.
Very well, I shall accept this photographic print as evidence for the court.
Unconscious, having been poisoned.
Now then, Mr. Natsume. Yes? As the defendant, do you have anything to say at this juncture? They're haunted. Haunted by evil spirits. Goodness gracious, what's haunted? My lodgings! There's been a whole series of strange happenings in my lodgings. The head before me died in mysterious circumstances. A woman was stabbed by no one on the street outside. My neighbor was poisoned. And me, what about me? I've nearly been killed countless times. Killed, Mr. Natsume? How? Even on that fateful night it happened, when I returned from Mr. Shamspeare's room. I lit my gas stove and got into bed, but before long, the stove went out and somebody tried to kill me. You must always extinguish all fires before retiring for the night, Mr. Natsume. But it's so cold, my runny nose would freeze. The point is, I didn't poison my neighbor. Oh, why am I being accused of this? Why is my existence so cursed? Thank you, witness. I believe I have a reasonably clear picture of events. If I could raise one more point, my lord. One more conclusive point.
Ah, shit, here we go.
Conclusive? Go on. Give me the drama. Fortunately, the victim, Mr. Shamspeare, has regained consciousness after his ordeal. Oh, well, that's not drama. Fuck. And he named the true culprit. Oh, shit, wait, never mind. The poison consumed by the victim was administered in a cup of tea that he drank on the night in question. Tea, my lord, that was brought to the victim's room by the accused. The accused? Good grief! Order! Order!
Yes, that's the crux of the whole case. If Soseki-san is innocent, then why? Why has the victim accused him?
Well, Mr. Natsume, what have you to say to this accusation? That evening, yes, I did take some freshly brewed tea with me when I visited Shakespeare's room. As a gift, as a treat, if you will. The public water pump outside always freezes at night, so I bought bottled water especially to make it. And this is the result. Never will I touch tea again. Never!
The public pump was frozen, you say? That's not information we've heard before.
That will do. Thank you. God. Now, according to our laws, the defense must have the opportunity to cross-examine witnesses at least once. Only once. And that's all you'll ever get. Therefore, I call upon these witnesses now for a formal testimony. I presume the prosecution has no objection. None whatsoever, my lord. Good, then you will give your account of events on the night in question to the court now. You may cross-examine it. Once. Yes, my lord!
Witness. Oh, I'm sorry. Witness. Testimony. The catastrophic night.
Alright, let's go. It was around 9 o'clock that evening when I visited my neighbor. I took some tea with me as a gift. We had a heated literary debate over a nice hot drink, after which I went back to my room at around 11. My tea was completely harmless. He couldn't have locked the door behind me otherwise, could he?
Strike 9 takes some time to have effect on the body. People don't keel over immediately after taking it. The victim would have been perfectly able to lock the door after his guest left. The argument still stands.
Yes, I see. It all seems relatively straightforward.
Excuse me, but that testimony does raise one other crucial point, I think. Mr. Natsume claims his tea to have been harmless. Presumably, though, the teacups have been examined for traces of the poison. Haven't they?
Why didn't I think of that?
Well, as it happens, no. We haven't been able to.
Did I hear you correctly, Inspector? Scotland Yard's failed to examine the suspect's substance? How could you have overlooked something so important? Isn't that the first thing you should have done? My learned Nipponiese friend is falsely incensed. The inspector said Scotland Yard was unable to examine the tea, not that it was overlooked.
Unable? Why? It's simple enough, there was none left. Not a drop. Someone must have been very thirsty indeed.
With current scientific technique, it's not possible to test for poison under such circumstances.
We only need a drop, but that one drop does actually have to exist, funnily enough.
The lack of examination notwithstanding, it appears nothing other than the tea passed the victim's lips on the night in question. I see. Thank you. The matter is clear. Cast your eyes over the jury, my learned friend.
What?
You can see it in their faces, I'm sure. The recognition of the accused's guilt. Your client's fate is all but sealed. In mere moments from now, you will lose, and your compatriot will be damned for all eternity.
He's right. I can feel all 6 of the jurors looking daggers at me.
But I can't let them beat me down. I won't. Counsel for the defense, proceed with your cross-examination. Yes, my lord.
Cross-examination. It was around 9 o'clock that evening when I visited my neighbor. I took some tea as a treat. We had a heated literary debate over a nice hot drink. After which I went back to my room at around 11. My tea was completely harmless. He couldn't have locked the door behind me otherwise, could he? Strike 9 takes some time to have an effect on the body. People don't keel over immediately after taking it. How long does it usually take for some symptoms to appear then? According to this coroner I was speaking to at the yard, about 30 minutes after the poison's consumed. And the victim suffers violent convulsions, cramping, and stiffness, and eventually dies from asphyxiation. So there's a 30-minute interval between when the poison's ingested and the onset of symptoms. There seem to be a lot of different types of poison in the world, that's for sure. Oh dear, death by poisoning again? It's always so awful.
30 minutes is a long time. Certainly long enough for the victim to have locked the door behind the accused after he left. You can't deny that. Further degrades Saseki-san's alibi. I have the medical report from the doctor who examined the victim here, my lord. It spells it out, really. The accused is the only person who could have done it. Very well. The court will add this report to the evidence. It obviously mentions the poison as well as other details gleaned during the police investigations. Oh, I see it here. Delayed onset of symptoms. Great. Victim will have been perfectly able to lock the door after his guest left. The argument still stands. Let me just take a look at this. Small quantity of strychnine. Toxic effects present 30 minutes after ingestion. High likelihood of the substance having been mixed with the tea before the victim was drinking. The sample could be obtained for testing. The poisoning occurred about 1:30 a.m. on the 21st of February. Access from the victim's pocket watch that appears to have been broken when the man collapsed after the delayed onset of the symptoms. Wait. If he collapsed, then... I'll come back around. That's the extent of their testimony, is it? If I could voice a personal opinion, Mr. Naruhodo. Of course, go ahead. Mr. Natsume is arguing for his innocence so adamantly and so persistently, yet Inspector Gregson just brushes what he says aside. It's really quite infuriating. I agree. So we need to find there's an inconsistency in what the inspector is saying, I think. I'm afraid so. As things stand, the jurors are sure to find Mr. Natsume guilty. As I see it, what we need to focus on is the poison in the tea. Let's listen carefully to the testimony again. 9 o'clock. Some tea as a gift. We had a heated literary debate over a nice hot drink. After which I went to my room at around 11.
Objection!
Mr. Natsume, you say it was 11 p.m. when you left to return to your room, correct? Yes! And Inspector Gregson, can we rely on the information in the medical report unconditionally?
Of course we can. There's no problem with that report, Sunshine.
Actually, I think there's a very big problem. Because there's a chronological inconsistency between it and the defendant's testimony.
Chrono what? What are you on about?
According to this report, the victim must have consumed the poison at around 1:30 in the morning. And yet, the defendant, Mr. Natsume, left the victim's room at 11.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. There's more than 2 hours of missing time there. In other words, if there was poison in the tea that Mr. Natsume brought to the victim's room, how could the victim have fallen ill to it 2.5 full hours after the defendant left? That was a nice mirrored animation moment. The defense's argument is entirely reasonable. How do you respond, Lord Van Zeeks? Oh, damn it. I forgot my own glass. I don't drink, but, you know, I would have poured my water in the glass again, like I did last time. Pray forgive the discourtesy if my mind has wandered. I was considering what cuisine would best complement the contents of my hallowed chalice this luncheon. How could it have happened, you ask? I do hate to shatter illusions, but I don't hate to shatter my chalices, and I think my learned Nipponese friend appears to be chasing a phantom idea. A phantom? Please don't say phantom to me. I have bad memories. Is it hard to imagine that the victim drank his tea after the accused had left? For example, at the time stated in the medical report. Yes, at around 1:30. Mr. Natsume brought the tea with him to drink together with his neighbor. And in Japan, there's a well-known saying, drink tea while it's hot. And in my country, there is an even more apt saying, there is nothing more refreshing than cold tea. The point is,
there was such a long gap, there may be other ways to explain how the victim came to be poisoned. Other possibilities.
What sort of possibilities, Counsel?
Well, for example, the man could have had another visitor.
Another visitor? It's a very bold assertion, my learned friend. From someone who has nothing to substantiate it.
Or the victim could have taken the poison of his own volition.
You suggest this may have been a suicide, Counsel?
Objection!
Mr. Shamspeare has categorically denied suicide. The idea can and must be discounted. But he could be lying!
Is something wrong, Lord Van Zieks? I was listening to the sound of the carriage pulling up outside the courtroom. Pray forgive the discourtesy.
Carriage? What carriage?
Also, I just noticed his little wine glass has like 2 scythes on it. You know, like Reaper scythes.
It would seem that the key player in this case just arrived.
Hold it. Oh no. Who's holding what now?
Out! Out, brief candle! Life is but a walking shadow. A poor player that struts and frets his hour upon the stage, and then is heard no more. It is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing.
Who, sir, are you?
William Shamspeare, my lord. Alas, 'twas I, undone by these bitter events. I am the victim.
Actually, this guy stayed dead.
What's he doing here?
3. Actually, wait. It's not just two. It's not just 2 sides on the wine bottle. It's the whole ass Reaper on the wine bottle.
The prosecution seeks to call this gentleman to the stand. With his testimony, my learned friend's futile resistance will be utterly crushed.
You're calling him as a witness?
Very well, counsel. I grant your request with interest. I'm curious to discover what the court shall hear from the victim himself.
Happy am I, Shamspeare, to regale thee with my tale of woe, my lord.
But I still have my own tale to tell. My own tale of worse woe. I can regale the court with a tale of my perfect innocence in perfect English. That will do, Mr. Natsume. Let the court now hear from the victim.
I hate his dumb face. Oh, hey, you're here too. His face is absolutely beaver. What does that mean? Alright, so that's Mr. Shamspeare, but who's that other man beside him? Yeah, I feel sure that we've caught a glimpse of that man before.
State your names and occupations for the court, please, witnesses.
A writer of words so sweet they do scent the breeze, an inventor of ideas so profound they compose the earth. The unrivaled poet, the unmatched scribe, William Shakespeare, were the great bard to be recalled to life anew. Lo, what a magnificent man! Good fellows, I am he who ponders such a miracle, William Shamspeare.
Oh, the name's Meterman. Adron B. Meterman.
Okay, I get the last name part, but is there a pun in like the first part? Because Meter Man, something with gas, I think, because like there's a, I believe that's like I believe that's a job.
I work for the Altamont Gas Company, East End branch office.
Ah, I remember now. It was yesterday on Briar Road. Oh yeah, she's right. It's him. Oh, what's this?
What's that man doing over there? Looks like he's trying to see into Saseki-san's lodgings.
Is something wrong, Mr. Naruhodo? Excuse me? Can we have a word? Yeah, he like bobbled up and down like a fucking like robot for a second. I was like, what? And they skedaddled. Yeah, we spotted him outside Mr. Garrett's house this morning. And he's a gas company employee? What does that have to do with the case? So, Mr. William Shakespeare, you are the victim in this miserable affair, correct? Oh heaven, oh hell, do you command me to remember that sweet poison that did cross me in mine innocent lips? I subpoenaed him for the trial, with his doctor's permission, naturally. Hearing the testimony of the aggrieved will remove any room for doubt from the jurors' minds, I'm sure. Behold, you have only rearranged the letters of my name to see that me is a seraph, an angel indeed.
Boy, that is the stretchiest stretch I've ever seen.
Stretched so far, we can call you the werehog, God. Thus I be noble of mind, sweet of nature, and verily honest of heart, as all heavenly angels be. Because there isn't a less contrived meaning in your name. No, not at all. The jurors seem to be very moved by this man, I'm afraid. They're actually taking this seraph anagram idea seriously? Thank you, witnesses, for your illuminating introductions. But my lord, what's this man next to Mr. Shakespeare doing here? The gas man, I mean. Allow me to enlighten my learned friend. You recall, I presume, your earlier impertinence? When you suggested that the victim had another visitor to his room on the night in question. And moreover, that the victim is a compulsive liar. What? No, I didn't quite say that. This young chin-stroker is here to controvert your wild claims. Conclusively. Is that not so, Mr. Meter Man? Hang on. No, I'm just here. I hereby call for your formal testimonies. You will tell the court as lucidly as possible what happened on the night in question. One may smile and be a villain. Yes, it doth pain me, but let the truth be spoken. The truth of that wintry night of my discontent. He does seem to be rubbing that chin a lot. Probably because of the fucking scar. Wonder what that's about. The snow lay about. My neighbor did cometh in the evening, bearing a gift of tea. But merry bitter was his drink, and when he left, I did fall prostrate on my table. 'Twas the tea alone did pass my lips that late hour, naught else. I was outside this bloke's window in the freezing cold all night, keeping my eye on his room. No one else visited his room with that short little round back Easton fella. I cannot get over how Leighton-esque Mr. Meterman looks. God. Wait, what did you say? You were keeping an eye on Mr. Shakespeare's room all night? That's right. Of course the bloke's window is all but blocked up, isn't it? But there's a little gap in the bricks where you can see into the room. So I spent the night trying to keep my teeth from chattering as I peered in through that. The question is, sir, why? Well now, that's because he's on my list. What a piece of work is a man! Wherefore wouldst thou not stare in wonderment? What are you... What the fuck are you talking about? This buzzing busybody hath not part in this play. I pray thee, pay him no heed. Make him no more ado about his tedious words. What did you say about me? Calm yourself. This court's concerned with what happened on the night in question. Nothing more, nothing less. Indeed, that is so. And as the testimony we have just heard clearly reveals, there was no one other than the accused present at the time who could have carried out this crime. Well, I believe this may be the final testimony of the trial. Squeeze it for all it's worth, Mr. Naruhodo. Now, counsel, the defense may proceed with the cross-examination. Yes, my lord.
Cross examination.
The snow lay about. My neighbour did cometh in the evening, bearing a gift of tea. But marry, bitter was his drink. When he left, I did fall prostrate on my table. Hold it! Let me stop you there. Mr. Natsume left your room at 11 o'clock, but it wasn't until after 2 that the poison made you collapse. That amounts to more than 3 hours of missing time. What the fuck is he doing? Look at him groove. If the defendant had really put the poison into your tea, that 3-hour window of time is something you're going to have to explain. Gladly, 'tis an easy task. What? I did drink of the tea, not while my guest did tarry, but after he took leave of me. Faith, 'twas stone cold, but when I was post midnight, verily were my lips parted. Objection! That doesn't sound normal. Nay, it is quite ordinary, sire. After all, thou wouldst recall our fiery debate. Amid such argument, there'd be no time for fiery tea. Romeo and Juliet again. And who was stronger? Mr. Shamspeare, in summary, allow me to confirm. Did you not come here with the intention of naming your attacker? But of course, my liege. 'Twas the stooped lover of words did attempt to shuffle me off this mortal coil. I really want to drop kick this guy. Yeah, I mean, he's got some funny animations, but man, I think I would have preferred if this was just a straight murder case. We all know what that means. 'Twas the tea alone did pass my lips that late hour, not else. So, you didn't have any kind of evening meal? Dinner? Supper? Fee on luxury, fee on gluttony. To eat thrice daily is but a waste of time. Sorry? I would that my belly were full. No more often the sun doth rise. Well, most heroic eating habits, I must say. What? Night and day do I fill my hours with learned study of the great bard and playwright. Hence is it that there doth not in my chamber be then the costumes of my heart. That would appear to be the case, as even a rodent was found starved to death in your room. If I had a nickel for every witness that galloped in this courtroom, I'd have 2. Okay, no, I've done this bit too much. Now I think of it, it's not just food that was conspicuously missing from that room, is it? I don't recall seeing a single player script anywhere. Well, I have devoured them all. What? Wait. Okay? There's food conspicuously missing from that room. I don't recall seeing a single player script anywhere. I have... You ate the bitches?! You eaten them? Every word be within my skull. Didst thou imagine otherwise? Right, that wasn't misleading at all. Now, could you turn around, do you think? Considering we were talking about eating soap, look, listen, eating scripts wasn't exactly off of my table either. Which brings us to the conclusion that the only way this poison could have passed the victim's lips is in the tea, sis. I was outside this bloke's window in the freezing cold all night, keeping an eye on this room. Why? Well, I feel like we already did that. I feel like we already know why, but I'm doing this anyway. But the windows of that house have all been filled in. A historical artifact of the now defunct window tax. Yeah, you're right there. All bricked up horribly. But as it happens, there's a little part of the brickwork at the bottom corner that's been opened up. I was looking in through that gap. Yeah, there were a few bricks loose, weren't there? For some strange reason, a couple of bars of soap lined up in the ledge outside as well. I don't like going around poking my chin in other people's business, especially on freezing cold nights. But them's my orders, so that's what I'll keep doing. As long as there's breath in my body. What's with all the theatricals today? Out of interest, Mr. Meter Man, after the accused had left and returned to his own lodgings, did you see the victim leave the room at all? No, he never left. He was in that room the whole time, as far as I'm concerned. And
We can therefore discount the possibility of suicide.
How can you be sure of that?
The police carried out a thorough investigation of the scene and found no receptacle for the poison. Since we know the victim didn't leave his room and hence didn't dispose of the poison's container himself, it's clear this was no attempted suicide. Only the culprit could have removed the receptacle. Ah, yes. Lucidly explained, Counsel. Thank you.
It really was. You can't argue with the logic, I guess. No one else visited his room with that short little round-back Eastern.
Hold it!
You say a short little round-back Eastern fella, so you can't be sure it was the defendant.
Objection!
How many other short little round-back Nipponese with a mustache do you think there are in London?
Okay, yeah, it's definitely a slur. God.
Well, of course, it's only a narrow gap and it was quite dark, so I didn't notice the mustache. But he showed up at around 9, so I'm pretty sure of myself. And when the person you saw arrived, did he and Mr. Shamspear drink tea together? Nah, sorry, couldn't say. Why not? Because I couldn't see into the room all that well, could I? What I did see was a silhouette of that little round-back fella wearing a pretty dress. And the pair of them started some kind of wrestling match. I tell you, I didn't know what to make of it.
Huh? I suppose that was the Romeo and Juliet championship battle getting underway.
Mr. Meterman, allow me to confirm one final time. Apart from the accused, God, I need to stop drinking so much in the court. Ugh. Do you state with certainty that no one else visited the victim on the night in question? No question. Gas man's on.
So that's the entire testimony. What do you think, Mr. Naruhodo? Well, I can't see any obvious holes, to be honest. No. Oh dear. If nobody else visited Mr. Shamspear's room that night apart from Mr. Natsume, I imagine the members of the jury will all conclude the same thing. Right, that he's guilty. Well, all we can do is press these witnesses for more information and hope for a breakthrough. Yes. The snow lay about. My neighbor did come in the evening bearing a gift of tea. This is the only one I didn't press, so... Oop. To be clear, by neighbor, you were referring to the defendant, Mr. Natsume? Oh, indeed, sire. Perchance thou wouldst I call him the man from upstairs. And at what time did the mustachioed Nipponese visit you in your room? Our meeting was promised for the hour of 9, and lo, did he come to attend the gift of fragrant tea. Details of which are in accordance with the defendant's own testimony, yes. And we broiled in such a literary debate as history hath not seen before. Which I presume he means their discussion about who is stronger, Romeo or Juliet. I, Shamspear, did play the part of young Romeo, whilst my neighbor played the fair Juliet. Each of us dressed as would our characters be, to bring weight upon our merry experiment. I dare not imagine the scene. Frailty, thy name is woman. Canst thou imagine how dismayed I was? Yes, I had heard of the Eastern art of jujitsu, but ne'er did I dream 'twould be a skill practiced by the comely maiden. Juliet beat Romeo up? This is not helping our case. I believe the court has heard enough about your earth-shattering literary debate. Perhaps you could reiterate your statement about the tea that the accused brought to your room. My liege, I am thy servant. Gladly I would do thy bidding. Oh shit, wait, what? Bam. My lord! Goodness me, yes, Mr. Foreman? I've kept my mouth shut and listened up to now, but this has gone on long enough. Are you all with me? Yeah! Are we to understand that you ladies and gentlemen of the jury are in agreement with one another? That you've reached a unanimous decision? Two right we have! God, this fucker is always starting shit. Jesus.
Are you all with me? Yeah! Wait, no! The defense is in the middle of a cross-examination. To be honest, I was holding out a bit of hope for you, young man. Especially after you identified those few hours of all the accused leaving the victim's room.
Yes, the 3 missing hours, as you put it. But in the end, what difference do they make? None as far as I can see. And since that's now apparent, there's really no reason to delay our decision any longer.
Like I was saying before, if I don't take 5 bob home with me in that, the missus will blow its top.
What's that? Sorry, I didn't quite catch what you said.
Very well, let the court be apprised of your decisions. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you will state your leanings as to the defendant's culpability.
Guilty!
Guilty. Guilty. Guilty.
Guilty. Guilty.
Three too many. All of you?
Well, it would appear the jury is indeed unanimous.
Step 1, figure out the new juror that isn't reused. Damn it.
So, this time at least, it seems justice will be done. All's well that ends well, I say. This calls for a toast, I feel. To the guilty being punished.
I just noticed he's kind of got a bumblebee thing going on, the meter man. Because he's got like the yellow and brown striped bag. He's got like his sort of bluish scarf kind of looks like a bumblebee wings. I don't know if that is most certainly a coincidence, but neat. Get up, Mr. Naruhodo, please! The trial isn't over yet. What do you mean, Mr. Sato? The informant I found in this Encyclopedia of British Law I have. The obscure right that belongs to the defense in these situations. Remember? Summation examination. That's right, we don't have a jury in Japanese courts. Right. But here in the British court of law, we can reverse the decision of the majority of the jurors. We can force the trial to continue. This trial can't end now. Whatever it takes, I just can't let that happen. The defense moves to invoke its right to a summation examination, my lord. Oh, why am I not surprised at my learned Nipponese friend's inability to admit defeat? You choose to cling desperately to some archaic rule you barely comprehend, instead of accepting the truth. Certainly no other defense counsel in recent times has exercised the right to a summation examination. Because they all know the jury's mind is set, it cannot be altered. Nevertheless, the right remains and must be upheld. Defense counsel's request is granted. This court will proceed with a summation examination, as outlined in the Encyclopedia of British Law. Thank you, my lord. And are you and your fellows prepared, Mr. Foreman? Believe me, my lord, we know all about this young lad's tenacity. We're ready for it. Very well. In that case, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I hereby call upon each of you to state the grounds upon which you find the defendant guilty of the crime for which he stands accused. Judicial findings.
The victim may not be well off. He's a noble man and straight up. There's no reason to doubt the man.
Well, I do declare the good gentleman has no reason to lie. In fact, I think he's rather splendid. Just look at the accused by comparison. He's Japanese, stoops all the while, and has a mustache. Very fishy. God, this guy. Get a load of this. Get a load of this guy. Ugh. There's no evidence suggesting the gangling actor is a fraudman. For now, at least.
I really don't care. I just need this trial to end quickly.
3 hours of missing time is nothing when you reach my age, you know. Nothing at all.
Damn, that's sad. I knew it. Every single one of them seems completely convinced. It seems all the jurors have come to the conclusion that Mr. Shamspeare is a fine, upstanding, and honest citizen. If you ask me, they've all been bewitched by his strange theatrical movements. And sadly, nothing Mr. Natsume says appears to have been registered at all. Well, here goes. let's not forget, I've pleaded with the jury on Soseki-san's behalf before, and it worked, so you never know. Before we begin, it might be an idea for me to remind you exactly how a summation examination works. Oh. Well, you're still very new to British law, after all. It's true, I suppose, and Soseki-san's fate is entirely in my hands now, too. So there's a chance I might have forgotten some crucial detail. No need. Thank you for the kind offer, Mrs. Sato, but I've been through plenty of these now. I think it's important that we don't delay the start any longer than necessary.
Of course, I understand, and I'm quite sure you're right. If you're confused by anything at any point, you can turn to me for advice whenever you like. I'll be here for you.
Thank you. God, you're lovely. The key to this is really listening carefully to each juror's statement. Finding the two that are contradictory and pitting the corresponding jurors against each other. Without further ado, please, counsel, proceed with the summation examination. Yes, my lord.
Jury examination.
The victim may not be well off, but he's a noble man and straight up. There's no reason to doubt the man.
Hold it!
Well, there are plenty of people in London who seem noble but poor. Couldn't some of them also be liars? I've no doubt about it. Like that shaky client of yours, for example. Absolutely not. Mr. Natsume is no liar. Look, the point is, the only thing that passed that victim's lips that night was the Japanese man's tea. When you take that gas man's testimony into account as well, the truth couldn't be any clearer. Well, that's alarmingly logical. But let me be frank here. I'm a gentleman with a gentleman's values. If it turns out that the old Shakespearean chum is a rotten liar after all, I'd gladly change my decision about the defendant. And I'm sure my fellow gentlemen on the jury would do the same. Isn't that right? Well, yes, perhaps, though I don't see it happening.
What's that? Elderly gentleman in here, you know. You'll have to speak up.
Put him in the middle, for God's sake. Look, I don't really care for all this nonsense. I just need this trial to be over. How many gentlemen do we have on the jury, then, actually? All right, sir. I may hold you to that. Don't forget what you said. All right, if you can show me the victim's a liar, I'll reconsider my position.
Well, I do declare the good gentleman has no reason to lie. In fact, I think he's rather splendid. The accused, by comparison, he's Japanese, took a while, and has a mustache. Very fishy.
Hey, yeah, can you chill the fuck out? This isn't even for any reason. This isn't even for like any reason that I have something to like dig into. I just want you to chill the fuck out. No, not one of those things is a reason to find the man guilty. But he is fishy. There's no point dancing around the fact. He's Japanese, he has a mustache, and he stoops. You see, you arrive at the conclusion in just 3 steps. 3 steps like a waltz, in fact. You know, the more I think about it, the more this trial seems like a dance. I miss the guy that was licking his knife. Get this racist guy out of here. Like, really, we had one of the most based jurors who said cops were bastards, and now he has never reappeared again. Damn. You seem to be several steps ahead of yourself, though, and you're on the wrong foot. No, there's nothing but circumstantial evidence here. There's no actual proof of the defendant's guilt. But the victim's version of events is backed up by what the big chin man next to him says, isn't it? 1, he saw a Japanese man there. 2, he saw no one else. And 3, he saw the Japanese man there. Oh, that's another 3 steps. Oh, this really does seem more like a waltz, doesn't it? Right. And the prosecution will waltz its way to victory if I let you speak much more. There's no evidence to suggest the gangling act as a fraudsman. For now, at least.
Hold it!
A fraudsman? What do you mean by that, madam?
It really is a most tiresome problem for the company. Most irritating. We can be absolutely certain that a customer is stealing from us, but without hard evidence, we can't even threaten to take action for fear of being sued.
I'm sorry, you lost me a little there. Who are you?
I'm the wife of Augustus Altamont, owner of the Altamont Gas Company.
Good gracious! Altamont Gas, you say?
Gas is the future of energy in this country and around the globe. Proper handling is essential. As I'm sure our employee from the East End branch office would be the first to agree.
Absolutely, Lady Quimby. Gotta be used properly. Altamont gas is the best in the world, of course.
I think we may have solved the mystery of the bow from earlier, Mr. Naruhodo. The bow from earlier, fuck.
Right, he bowed in defense to his employer's wife, did he? Duh. So, would I be right in assuming that the reason Mr. Meterman was watching what Mr. Shamspear was up to in his room?
I'm afraid there's no end to the lengths the population for East End will go in order to steal our gas. So I really have no choice when the company identifies somebody as a possible fraudman, but to dispatch a worker to watch the suspect day and night. We're very thorough in our investigations.
So you mean Mr. Shamspear is...
I wouldn't come out and say it in public. But you can finish that sentence with a grubby little gas thief.
You've noticed the public gallery in here, have you?
The eye of man hath not heard, the ear of man hath not seen. Faith, wouldst thou wound me with thy words, were I to let them penetrate the skin. But seraphs hear not insult, only choirs of angels in song. We may not have evidence yet, but my workers won't stop buzzing around you until they find it.
Okay, wait, no, the B... Yeah, no, the... Okay, wait, yeah, the B thing is definitely intentional. Like, looking at her and her color palette and the umbrella, yeah.
And when they do, you'll find yourself blasted back to your angelic heights in an Altamont gas explosion.
So, Mr. Shamspear has been stealing gas. I wonder, juror number 4, if you wouldn't mind adding that information to your statement.
My pleasure. Was it the bit about ripping that thief apart you enjoyed?
A little before the part about violence, if it's not too much trouble.
Yes, of course.
This could be it. This could shift the balance.
The victim puts on a fine performance, but in reality is a common thief of my company's gas.
You can show me the victim's a liar, I'll reconsider my position.
Objection.
The juror just threatened the witness.
Let's not worry about that because it's helping us get somewhere.
We'll tackle that later. Those two statements clearly contradict each other. Good gracious, to whose statements do you refer, counsel? Juror number 1. Yeah, what are you yelling about that? I presume you heard juror number 4's statement, made by the wife of the owner of Altamont's gas. Well, yes. The victim, who you claim to be a noble, straight-up man, in fact, turns out to be a common thief. So the good lady says, but there's no evidence, is there? You and I both heard them say as much.
It's true, we don't have evidence as such. Just yet. But the claims aren't baseless, you know.
You know, honestly, this accent doesn't really make sense considering where we are, like how we're in Britain and shit. But like, I feel like it fits the design, so I'm just going with it. What?
You heard me. Seeing as his operation has already been compromised. I would suggest that the court hears testimony from our East End branch officer employee over there.
I'll do whatever you say, my lady. Gasman's order. And the fucking solemn bow again. Juror number 1, you say you're a man of your word. If I could show that Mr. Shamspear is a liar, you assured me that you would reconsider your decision about the defendant's guilt. Yeah, I did say that. And as a man of honor, I'll hold to it. I'm sure the other gentlemen of the jury will.
Me? Oh, well, yes. Now that we found out the man's a liar, perhaps we ought to consider the matter further. Well, if I'm perfectly honest, I haven't heard half of what you've all been saying. Just means you'll recap a few points that would suit me down to the ground.
Oh no, I'm not having any part of this. I want this trial over and done with.
In that case, I shall change my leaning.
So, Mr. William Shamspear, if that is your real name. Scarf kind of looks like William. Yeah. We of the jury demand to know exactly what kind of a man you really are.
Not guilty. That's 4 jurors. 4 for not guilty. Yes, Mr. Naruhodo. Victory!
Order! Order! Well, this is quite extraordinary, I must say.
As a result of the defendant's summation examination, the jury's leaning has changed. Now only 2 jurors say guilty, while 4 say not guilty. I therefore declare this court to be in a state of disaccord. In order the trial to continue. You have spoiled the bouquet, Mr. Shamspeare. The ladies and gentlemen of the jury now find they are unable to trust you, the victim.
But you gods will give us some faults to make us men. So God mend me, I do swear.
This gas man speaketh that which concerns him most. Not but gas, not but thin air. Ay, it burneth bright awhile, but it hath no substance, and it doth reek foul. Oi, what did you say? Do I take it, Mr. Shamspeare, that you deny the allegations of gas thievery?
Most heartily, my lord, hast thou forgot? I am as a seraph, an angel, noble of mind, sweet of nature, and verily honest of heart.
Ah, you flowery-mouthed pompous beanpole, just because I haven't got the evidence you yet. Mr. Shamspeare, if, in fact, you are not noble of mind, sweet of nature, or honest of heart, if you are a liar, then your testimony should have no sway in this courtroom. It is my considered opinion that at the present time, no other possible culprit of this crime has been identified. All testimony heard by the court thus far heavily implicates the defendant. In short, it would not be unreasonable at this stage for me to rule on the case. Oh, shit. However, in light of the fact that the jury has expressed concern of the fidelity of this witness, I believe it would be inappropriate for this court not to pursue the claim.
Objection!
I assure you, my lord, that would be a waste of the court's time. The gas and this case are unrelated. Jury number 4.
Yes.
Didn't you say before, although you had no hard evidence to prove this man has been stealing gas, you have strong grounds for suspecting him?
That's right, we do. Don't we, worker?
Absolutely, Lady Quinby.
Queen bee. Fuck.
Gas man's on! Very well, then. We will hear your testimony now. You will tell the court precisely why you believe the victim, Mr. William Shamspeare, has been stealing gas. Yes, my lord, it'll be my pleasure. On the ultimate gas, I swear.
If I may, my lord.
Go ahead, madam.
This worker's testimony may have a significant bearing on the good name of my husband's company. Therefore, I should like to take the stand alongside him in a supervisory role, if you wouldn't mind.
Woohoo! Oh, yeah. Sweet as honey. Yeah. Very well. As an exception, I shall honor your request.
Thank you, my lord.
You wait until the boss gives you an earful. Oh, it's gonna sting. You mark my words. So, you will both testify before the court on the subject of the illegal consumption of the Altamont Gas Company's fuel. Seriously, why the fuck you drinking that shit? Wait, hold on, I'm getting something from Bailiff.
What? That's not what consumption always means? Oh, okay. I thought they were drinking that bitch. Okay.
Yes, is that clear, my good man?
Clear as Altamont Gas, my lady. Which is the clearest in the world.
Do you think the gas has gone to his head, Mrs. Sato? I think the man is just a very dedicated employee, Mr. Naruhodo.
I don't understand. Is there a gas leak in here? I'm proud to be the company's East End branch investigator and meet a money collection agency. Altamont Gas meters accept
Threepenny?
Altamont Gas meters accept threepenny bits, each coin giving customers about 2 hours of gorgeous gas.
And yet the meter in Mr. Shakespeare's room didn't have a single coin in it. The meter doesn't appear to have been tampered with, though, and the collection agent is the only key. Has the only key.
Somehow he's using all the flaming gas he wants without paying a penny. If that's not thieving, what is?
Pray forgive the discourtesy. The irrelevance of this testimony has caused me to turn to my hallowed chalice.
What do you mean by that remark, Lord Van Zeeks?
I mean this testimony, whack. The mustachio of Nipponi's poisoned the gangling excuse for an actor, or didn't he? That is all that should concern this court. And yet, now we must listen to this abhorrence.
Clearly what separates the vast British Empire and your Eastern Island nation is more than geographical distance.
But this could turn out to be crucial testimony. The cross-examination must go ahead. Ow! Do what you will. Lord Van Zeeks appears to be in a violent mood. Yeah, he does. And attempted poisoning and incidents of gas theft with no supporting evidence. It's true that they would appear completely unrelated at first glance, but I wonder. The truth tends to be buried in the most unusual places. The truth is stranger than fiction. And the first step in uncovering it will be to establish just who and what this man really is.
I'm proud to be the company's East End branch investigator and be the money collection agent. Altamont gas meters accept threepenny bits, each coin giving customers about 2 hours of gorgeous gas. I think I just realized something. Oh no.
And yet the meter in Mr. Shanspeare's room didn't have a single coin in it.
Hold it!
Out of interest, how long has this been going on? Weeks and weeks. He's been pinching all the gas off us. And you've examined the meter in Mr. Shanspeare's room, I take it?
Naturally, we took it off the wall and went over it with a fine-tooth comb.
Not saying anything because that could be a spoiler if I'm right. Oh shit, okay. Write it down or something so that we can remember when we come back to the rest of this case. And found nothing suspicious at all, I presume.
No, I'm afraid we didn't. Which is exactly why I demanded a new type of meter to be produced. One with an indestructible lock. The Shanspeare Special.
That sounds like it would have cost an awful lot of 3-penny pieces.
But even after all that, the rascal's meter was still empty.
I'll never forget the humiliation. When I opened up the money box and found a bear, you what? I said. Wait, hold on. No, I gotta do this. I gotta sell this. You what? That was a bit more intense than I meant for it to be. I'm gonna have some people in my house questioning me. Jesus. And the look on his face, that smarmy smile of his. I was trying to do the SpongeBob thing with the guy and his drink. What did you do to my drink? Which actually, you know, considering this case, I pulled the mirror straight off the wall and took it back to the office. But you know what? Nothing. Not a trace of it being jummied onboard anywhere. Not a single sign. What's happening to my salary as a result? Down by 3 shillings a day, that's what.
A life-threatening situation in a number of ways. Incidentally, what became of that meter?
Nothing became of it. I've still got it.
Oh.
Right here.
No wonder they call you Meter Man.
I think it would be prudent for the court to sequester this item while the trial is ongoing.
Definitely. But at first glance, there doesn't appear to be anything unusual about it.
Let's move this along, shall we? Continue with your testimony. Though I would say it has as much value as the contents of that meter. Oof!
The meter doesn't appear to have been tampered with, though, and a collection agent has the only key.
Wait, shit, fuck, I didn't mean to go for it. I meant to present. It supports a very strong lock, developed especially with Mr. Shamspear in mind. Let's look around this.
Oh, what?
What? Huh? Have you spotted something, Mr. Naruhodo? Just here. There's a little hole. Do you see? Goodness, you're right. I wouldn't have noticed. It's not a very neat hole, is it? Not professionally made, I'd say. So, you think it might have been opened up by Mr. Shamspear? Possibly. It seems as though the people at Altamont Gas must have missed it. Well, it certainly seems to go all the way through to the inside. Yeah, but there's no way a coin can fit through there. That's true, but even so, it seems a little more than suspicious. Ba-dum-ba-dum.
Objection!
Hello? Lady Altamont, I'm afraid to say that this meter clearly does show signs of having been tampered with. What? Get away! I've been over and over that thing! I'm telling you, there's nothing wrong with it. In that case, what do you have to say about the small hole that's been made at the base of the coin box? Hole? What?
You're right. You're quite right. There is a little hole there. The meter's not supposed to have that. None of the others do.
In other words, we can assume that Mr. Shamspear secretly opened up this hole himself.
Yes, I wouldn't be at all surprised, but why?
Yeah, why? I mean, it's tiny. You couldn't get a farthing through that. Lady Altamont, I wonder if you could give the court some more details about your meter design.
What sort of details,
What I'd specifically like to know is, let's start with how it differentiates between coins. How does a meter tell the difference between different coins?
Oh, what do you mean?
Well, for example, if someone were to put 1 penny coin, that wouldn't work, presumably, would it?
No, of course not.
So, well, how does the meter know that the coin it's fed is a threepenny bit?
I see what you're getting at now. The meter tells coins apart by their shape and size, which includes their thickness. Threepenny bit is about 3/4 of an inch in diameter, you see. Other coins just won't fit.
I see, it's clearly been thought out. Wait just a goddamn second. The witness will amend no formal testimony with that information in case it is pertinent.
As you wish, my lord.
Here's designed for coins the exact diameter and thickness of a threepenny bit. Nothing else will. Hold on. Hold the fucking phone!
Oh, look at this bar of soap. There's a circular depression on this side, about 2 centimeters across, or 3/4 of an inch. Do you think?
We did find this soap at the scene, didn't we?
Yeah, there were 2 bars, and on that little ledge just outside the window.
Has this fucker been making soap money? I think that's the implication.
So we took this one, but I'm sure when we first found it, there was some sort of reddish medallion. Yeah!
I knew I wasn't going crazy.
There's no sign of it now. Where could it have gone?
There's a 2 centimeter diameter circular depression in the middle of one surface. What I realized earlier as well, it wasn't that important. Damn.
Objection!
let me just confirm something here. If the diameter and thickness were to be correct, the meter would accept any object as if it were a threepenny bit. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Well, by something of a coincidence, while we were investigating Mr. Shakespeare's room, we found a particular item that matches the dimensions perfectly.
Something the same size as a threepenny bit?
What was it? The item in question is this. What? Have you been inhaling gas? That's a bar of soap.
It certainly looks like nothing like a threepenny bit, I must say.
It looks like I'm going to have to point out exactly what I mean here.
Got it!
You have to turn over the soap to see what I mean.
Are you referring to that round depression in the middle of the soap there?
That's right, a depression that's approximately 3/4 of an inch in diameter. Or in other words, almost exactly the same size as a threepenny bit. Get away! Does anyone here present have in their possession a threepenny bit? Shit, that was the wrong button. I'm sorry. Quickly now, hand over your coins, ladies and gentlemen. I promise you, this is not a scam. I just need your Cromer.
It sounds rather like a highway robbery, doesn't it?
Thanks to a kind member of the public in the gallery, I have here a threepenny bit. Now to see if it fits. Oh shit! It couldn't be more snug! Yes, as I suspected. This, without a doubt, is a vital clue to explain how the Altamont Gas Company is being defrauded.
Well, I don't believe it!
Damn, nice dress. So, your assertion amounts to what? Is that some inferior bar of soap has a tentative connection to the theft of gas? Yes! The depression in the soap was clearly made by a threepenny bit. I must concur at least that pushing a coin with some force to a poor quality bar of soap such as this is a remarkably simple way of replicating the coin's shape. And then you could use, well, some melted wax or something to pour in the mold. You can make fake coins in no time. This brings all the pieces of the puzzle together. It's the method Mr. Shakespeare is in using to steal gas. That's the missing link! Now, if I follow this chain of thought, it's going to bring me to a new explanation for what's happened that nobody's considered yet.
But this is all nonsense. If that man had been making fake coins, my worker here would have found them when he emptied the meter.
Quite so true, Lady Altamont, in the absence of some black magic that could make them disappear. I see. That's what we're dealing with, is it? There is one form of black magic that can cause the fake coins to disappear in the thin air, yes. Exactly. The meter here gives it away.
What on earth?
There are remnants of the magical method used visible on the gas meters taken from the victim's room. If that is your assertion, counsel, the defense will identify these remnants for the court at once. Well, the meter can the remnants of the favor.
Got it!
We found this bar of soap at the scene of the crime, just outside the victim's window.
Outside?
Yes, outside where you yourself, Mr. Meterman, were loitering in the freezing winter air. That's where we found this soap. I get it. That's right. The answer, of course, is ice. Did you say ice? Mr. Shakespeare has been leaving soaps like this outside his window each evening, filled with water. After a night outside in the bitter cold, the water is completely frozen solid the next morning. Then he takes his fake coins of ice and feeds them into the gas meter, giving him light and warmth in spades. As his room becomes very comfortably warm, the ice now inside the meter's coin box melts, turning back into water and draining harmlessly away through the small hole made in the underside of the meter.
That's how, without leaving any evidence of his wrongdoing, this man has been stealing Altamont gas! Well, just like that. So simply. Is he trying to make us look like idiots? He's been fooling us all with some bars of soap and some water? That's right, madam. And now, since we've revealed this to a fucking court full of people, I'm sure other people will start doing it as well. I don't believe it. It can't be true. Do you have any idea how much money we spent to develop that new meter? And now you've the audacity to suggest that a bit of soap and some water can render it totally useless? I'm fairly sure I didn't design it. Evidence. Well, I mean, no, you are literally the owner of the gas company. I'd say that's evidence enough. Sorry? No, I mean evidence if you're going to stand there and tell me our meters are rubbish. I want to see proof. She's very good at enforcing accountability, isn't she? Very well, Lady Altamont. If you'd like evidence, I'll provide it.
Mr. Naruhodo, are you saying you actually have evidence?
I did notice a trace of something that bothered me a little at the time. And I have a feeling that this theory we've come up with could explain it. I almost poked my eyes out trying to do like a little thinky thing with my finger up to my forehead. Damn. This piece of evidence that substantiates the theory about how Mr. Shamspeare has been stealing gas is... There's a puddle here, right? Yeah.
Take that!
This is a photograph of the scene at the point in which... This is a photograph of the scene at the point when the victim was discovered, taken by Inspector Gregson. It clearly shows the remnants of the crime carried out by Mr. Shamspeare. What remnants? Here you can see the gas meter on the wall in Mr. Shamspeare's room. Now, look closely at the floorboards directly underneath the meter. What is that? Some kind of grubby stain? Almost certainly, it's a water stain resulting from the liquid that drained out of the hole made in the meter. If one coin gives 2 hours of gas usage and the occupant was heating his room in all his waking hours, we can imagine he would have used around 10 of his fake coins each day. The melting ice inside the meter's coin box would have been dripping out almost constantly, leaving a stain on the floor. This is awful. And there's further evidence, too. Mr. Shamspeare is slumped over his table, apparently having consumed strychnine. Or strychnine, I don't know. And right there next to him is a bar of soap, broken in half.
You're right.
It would appear to me, then, counsel, that the man was eating the soap. Shut. Oh my god. Pardon me for disagreeing with your lordship, but certainly not.
He didn't beat about the bush there, did he?
In truth, Mr. Shamspeare is found with a fork in his hand. A meal of soap is sounding increasingly likely, Lord Vanty. Do you mean to say he was using that fork to... Yes. To extract a frozen coin from the bar of soap.
But the bar broke in half. So perhaps it didn't go very well.
Good gracious!
Lord Van Zeeks!
I was throwing my hand up in despair, and happened to catch my hallowed bottle on the way. Pray forgive my maladroit mistake. What is the meaning of this, counsel? Allow me to pose my learned friend a question. What exactly did you establish with your most recent cross-examination?
That Mr. William Shamspeare is a liar and thief. In other words, that his testimony is unreliable.
That's it! That's exactly it! Very well. Let us assume the man is a liar.
Now to pose another question. What possible difference does that make? Well, we know that suicide can be discounted. Scotland Yard's investigation revealed no sign of another vessel that contained poison. On the night in question, there were no visitors to the room except the accused. Young Gasman's testimony, which we have no reason to doubt, has confirmed that. Furthermore, the only possible way the poison could have entered the victim's body is via the tea, sis. The court has seen no evidence whatsoever that suggests otherwise. Even if William Shakespeare is the liar you claim him to be, these facts have been objectively established. There's no escaping it. Duh! Therefore, in light of these facts, the prosecution calls for immediate adjudication. You what? Order! Order! Well, counsel, how does the defense respond?
We're fucked. Mr. Naruhodo!
What was the point of that last cross-examination? Did it actually get us anywhere? It didn't make no difference at all, like Lord Vegas is saying. Raise an objection, wait and see. God damn it, you always fucking throw this question at me, huh? Every fucking time. Raise an objection. No, this isn't over. The defense will not rest. What? But counsel, you successfully explained everything. You've identified and substantiated the unscrupulous method employed by Mr. Shakespeare to consume gas. I thought it was consuming soap, but clearly I was wrong. What more is there to discuss? Lord Van Zieks just highlighted 3 facts in order to make his point. But contrary to what he would have the court believe, none of them have been objectively established at all. What do you try to say, mighty pony's friend? At least one of those so-called facts is an assumption, made due to a lack of evidence. The situation has changed now following the cross-examination of the latest witnesses that take the stand. Don't be absurd! What is this nonsense? Yeah, when you bring everything we've learned so far together and consider it as a whole, it's clear. There's a question now we need to reconsider. Namely, was the poison in the tea? Was there another visitor? Was someone else responsible? Was the poison in the tea? We've all been led to believe that the strychnine poison that afflicted Mr. Shakespeare was brought in the tea to him by Mr. Natsume, but that's conjecture.
Objection!
The victim has testified that nothing else passed his lips that night. There's no other possibility. And since there was no trace of the tea left at the scene, it couldn't be tested for traces of the poison. As I said, the situation has changed, because in fact, some of Mr. Natsume's tea was left at the scene, and a particular piece of evidence proves it. A ludicrous claim. Scotland Yard detectives investigated the scene exhaustively. What evidence are you suggesting they missed? The defense has made a bold claim indeed. Very well, counsel, present your proof. What evidence from the scene of the crime can tell us about the nature of the defendant's tea? The green line around the room is Mr. Natsume's. Can I examine those? Hold on. Okay, they both seem to have like the same types of like smudges on them, I think. Hey, wait just a second. This must be a cup that Mr. Shakespeare is drinking from then. It's stained on the inside.
Tea does that, I'm afraid. Even green tea.
Oh, really? I'd never noticed before.
Never noticed.
Well, I never leave it in the cup long enough to leave a mark. I like to gulp it down. Drink tea while it's hot. That's the Japanese way, isn't it?
Oh dear, so many people seem to have the wrong idea about our culture. And most of them are Japanese.
Damn, that was just flavor text? Okay, I thought I was on to something. Wait. Examine the other one just in case. See if there's anything I can get out of that. It's a teacup from which Mr. Natsume was drinking. Unlike the other one, the inside of the cup is completely clean. I suppose it must have drunk the contents before the tea had a chance to leave the mark. I was gonna put down too. Sorry, Mr. Naruhodo. Well, if you just sip it little by little, it goes cold. Clearly, I just have to instruct you in the proper way to make tea. There is no tea ring on the inside of Mr. Natsume's cup. There is tea in the cup. So, yeah. I don't think that means anything though. If they couldn't find traces of the poison though, I don't think that really means anything. How the fuck did the police miss this? I don't know. What evidence from the scene of the crime could tell us about the nature of the defendant's tea? I mean, I could present it anyway, I guess. It's right there.
Take that!
What exactly is this piece of evidence supposed to reveal about Mr. Natsume's tea, counsel? Well, I suspect it may possibly be related to the tea in some small way, if we dig deep enough. And you will be digging for a very long time indeed, my learned friend. Oh. Even at the bottom of the deepest chasm, you will find no sense in that absurd assertion. Sometimes I wish I could disappear down a deep chasm to escape his deep sarcasm. I advise you to think more deeply before you enter again this time. What evidence from the scene of the crime can tell us about the nature of the defendant's tea? Wait just a goddamn second. It's a stretch. This is the stretchiest stretch. But then again, what is Ace Attorney if not stretching?
Take that!
It's very good for my back. Good gracious! The soap again? The same bar used to fashion his coins of ice? Yes, that's right, my lord. Just come back to me. Something about when we first found this bar of soap at the scene yesterday.
It's more bars of soap.
Soap? What are bars of soap doing lined up on a ledge outside the window? I'm quite certain that when we originally stumbled upon the bars, there's actually a frozen coin in each bar. So we discovered the gas thief's coin factory. Fascinating. In a way, yes, but there's more. The coins we found in the soap at the time weren't normal ice. There was something strange about them, you mean? Exactly. Something very obviously strange. They were red. Wait, shit, yeah. Wait, what the yeah, what? Yeah, what about? The ice was red? No. You mean... That's right. It's obvious to me now. The fake coins in the soap were made from frozen tea. And that is the tea, sis. I would remind the court of a statement made by Mr. Natsume earlier in this trial. That evening, yes, I did take some freshly brewed tea with me when I visited Mr. Shamspeare's room as a gift. The public water pump outside always freezes at night, so I bought bottled water especially to make it. And this is the result. Never will I touch tea again. Never! Ah, yes, I believe there had been a snowfall that day. It was particularly cold. Sadly, on such occasions, the poorly constructed water mains in the East End are prone to freezing. So on the night in question, Mr. Shamspeare, having no running water to use, was forced to use the tea brought by Mr. Natsume in order to make his fake coins. My word! There were 2 bars of soap on the window ledge when my judicial assistant and I investigated the scene.
That's right, and we only borrowed one of them.
Which means that even as we speak, some of the defendant's tea is still present at the scene of the crime. Frozen solid in a bar of soap put outside Mr. Shamspeare's window. This case is wild as fuck. Extraordinary! Earlier today, Inspector Gregson informed the court that even if one drop of the tea remains, Scotland Yard will be able to analyze it for poison. As such, we are now in a position to prove or disprove what has until now been mere conjecture, by finding out for sure whether or not Mr. Natsume's tea actually contains strychnine at all. Ah! You smug Nipponese. My lord, we cannot do a defendant the injustice of passing judgment now. The police should be dispatched to recover the remaining bar of soap from the scene at once. The defense requests a thorough analysis of the frozen tea embedded in it to determine whether or not it contains any poison. Bailiff! Bailiff! Instruct the police to attend the scene at once. Yes, my lord. Understood. It would seem we have no choice but to suspend these proceedings for the time being. I trust you have no objection, Lord Van Zieks? None, my lord. Scotland Yard will recover the tea from the scene and carry out the requisite tests immediately. The trial will resume at the same hour tomorrow. The prosecution and defense may conduct further investigations as appropriate in the interim. Yes, my lord. Well, we managed to scrape through there somehow. Thank you, counsel. Court is adjourned until tomorrow. Ow. My hand. Well, we're at about 3 hours. So I feel like that is a good place to call it. So, for now, thank you for coming, thank you for staying, thank you for watching the show, and I will see you all sometime soon with more Great Ace Attorney 2.